welcome back to another episode. This is episode 12, and this is going to be, I'm putting it out there, this is probably going to be the most watched, listened to podcast since Cody Alford, probably. I'm putting that on you.
Yeah.
Well, just because I don't think we've ever had an officer on here.
Those are big boots to fill.
Cody's?
Yeah.
Yeah. The youngest Master Sergeant in the Marine Corps ever, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, not ever, but definitely in our generation.
For sure.
Yeah, good dude. So this is episode 12 of the Harbor Site, and I've got Mr. Kyle Mann, and Kyle is a Marine, was a commissioned officer, got out as a major, correct?
Correct.
And was also an 0370. So you were a critical skills officer, right?
Special operations officer.
Special operations officer. There we go. So, and man, I get so many questions about what it's like. How do you get in? Everything. And I think you are going to be the perfect person to really kind of shed the light for some young men on what that's like, and the right ways to do it. Because there's a lot of young guys that want to be officers and they want to lead, but they don't want to be what we all hear about. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah. There's a lot of mistakes we all end up making.
And before we started recording, you actually mentioned, you were like, you wouldn't want to work for me 10 years ago. You'd want to work for me more now.
Yeah.
And that's
absolutely.
Yeah. And there's we'll get into that. But so Marine, officer, Raider, father, about to be a farmer.
Yeah.
A blue belt.
Working on full time.
Jiu-jitsu master, blue belt.
Let's not inflate the egos too much.
Come on, man. Us guys got to stick together. Us blue belt mafia got to stick together.
That's right.
Anyways, so and small world, you are from Kansas City as well. You and your wife are from Kansas City.
Wife is. I'm actually from rural Kansas.
That's what I think. Don't we just call that Kansas City anyway? Yeah.
Abilene,
Kansas.
Yep.
Yeah. How far away is that from the city?
It's about 2.5 hours from Kansas City, Kansas.
Yeah, I was reading your bio and I was like, oh man, because I actually, strangely enough, when I was 2 years old, I lived in Kansas City. Where did I live?
Grandview,
and you were there too, right?
Oh, I was South KC, Martin City area.
Okay.
And then my parents ended up moving to Overland Park and Leawood area.
But you were born. You were technically born when I was there.
Kansas City, Missouri. I was born when you were there. We were literally
like streets apart,
like walking distance from each other's homes in the same time frame.
That's wild.
And then she went to high school with your wife.
Right.
Yeah.
Same high school, which is nuts because that high school just started. They just built it.
Yep.
And we both ended up there, which I didn't know her. That sucks because like she's a little bit younger than me, so I don't know her, but we were there together.
That's awesome. So let's get into it. You grew up in the Midwest.
Yeah.
So what was growing up in the Midwest like for you, out in the rural areas?
Yeah, well, I kind of actually grew up a little bit everywhere. I was born in Kansas City, but right after we left the hospital, within a couple of months, we moved to Tennessee. I lived in Tennessee for 7 years. Lived outside of Knoxville and outside Chattanooga. Then we ended up moving back to Kansas for a few years. Then we moved up to north of Seattle and Snohomish for a few years. Then back to Kansas. So Abilene is really where I grew up the most. It's where I call home. It's where I went to high school, middle school, where most of my friends are from that area. But growing up in the Midwest, I mean, especially in rural Kansas, really was a blessing when you look back at it. At the time you grow up and there's not all the big box stores. There's not all the things that people like to do, especially in the city. You're a little bit more limited, but one thing I distinctly remember is I could leave my house without telling my parents where I was going, just get on my bicycle, and I could just go to the other side of town and just hang out with all my friends, run around. The street lights come on, I come home for dinner. Yeah. Parents never worried about me.
Right.
Now my kids leave the house and they didn't tell me, and I'm having a heart attack.
You're texting everyone.
Right.
The whole neighborhood.
Right. I'm getting in my truck. I'm driving around, looking for signs, like I'm tracking them.
Well, you have really pretty little girls. I'd be doing that too.
That. But man, it looking back now, even without all the, I don't want to say amenities, not like we didn't have running water. But looking back now, I would not have traded that for the world. And that's, reason why we're doing what we're doing is
Kind of going back to that.
right. I want to give my girls that same opportunity. If they want to grow up and they want to leave and do their own thing, more power to you. I'm going to give you the tools to do that. But I'm hoping, same as my experiences, that they want to kind of tie back into that.
Yeah. Well, it's a different kind of growing up. And in my opinion, I think it's a more fruitful way of growing up.
Yeah.
So you said you were moving around. Is this when you went? Is you moving around because of college? When you went to college?
No, when we were moving around, that was on my dad's job.
Oh, okay. So that's not with your wife.
No, I mean,
Okay.
we've moved plenty. The
Yeah,
two of us
right,
together.
yeah.
No, Ashley, she was born and raised in Kansas City. I mean, she never left until college, and then she met me, and I was like, hey, I'm going to take you everywhere. So yeah, she born and raised in Kansas City near Stillwell, and
where'd you go to college?
I went to a Division II called Emporia State University in
For
Emporia,
track
Kansas.
and field, right?
Yep, ran track and field for a little over 2 years, and then I played rugby.
How much did you weigh back then?
Oh man, back in my sprinting days, I was probably 170 to 180.
Damn, I was like, and how tall are you?
6'3".
Could you imagine?
Because
Because I was reading that bio, and you were talking about track and field, and you ran the 1600 and what else?
So I ran 400, 4x4, and then I ran the 600-yard indoor during
600-yard
season.
indoor, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was looking, I was like, there's no way he's like 240
No,
doing that.
no. I actually,
Horse sounds. That's
Yeah,
all I
right.
can hear.
Yeah, right.
oh yeah, I was definitely large. I was still on the large size.
Of course,
too,
yeah.
compared to my peers. But there was one summer that I'd gained like 10 pounds of muscle. So I was like 190-ish, like 185, 190. But coach got super mad at me. He's like, you need to lose weight now. I was like, all right.
How'd you perform, though? Were you slow? Obviously, you were a little bit slower.
Yeah, I was a little bit slower, but I was a little bit more powerful too. So I was able to explode out of the blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit more. But I cut 10 pounds of weight. And,
You're like, Coach, I'm trying to get big and sexy. Come on.
right.
Come on, I'm in college here.
I was never the all-star of the team, right? I was the workhorse. So I was the one who in practice was pushing the faster people, right? Like I was always riding on the heels, just nipping at them. So that was really my job. Like, yeah, I won a couple of meets, won a couple of events, but I wasn't a national champion. I was the guy who was pushing our national champions to be better.
I mean, if you look at it from almost a scientific biologically level, you're too big.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You're just too big.
What's funny is I went there to run cross country and track. And that freshman year of college, he was like, hey, we're redshirting you. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. And then he was like, hey, you know what? We're just go sprint. Just stop. I'm like, all right, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But I'm also going against these guys who are just absolute string beans and just monsters of endurance. And I'm doing my best just to finish. You know what I mean?
I'm just trying. It's the way I feel at Crest too. That's exactly.
Oh man,
yeah.
Yes.
I'm just here. I'm not
some of those open mats.
Yeah, I'm just here for everybody else to get their training in on.
That's right.
But then you suffered an injury, right?
Yeah. So back in college.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had re-torn my hamstring. So I tore my hamstring in high school, my senior year, which had almost taken me out my entire senior track season. I got lucky and came back for a couple of meets and then regionals and state. Re-tore my hamstring in college. And
how old were you?
19 or 20.
Jeez, man.
Something like that. Yeah. And it was
why
the
do
same
you
hamstring.
Why do you think that is?
I probably wasn't stretching all that well.
Really?
Yeah.
Probably weren't doing all the things you were supposed to be doing.
Probably not doing
mobility
all the
wise.
things. Yeah, you're young. You think you're invincible, and you just push your body until it breaks, and then you're like, oh, it'll be fine, right?
Just give me a shot.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Give me some pickle juice and whatever, man.
Yeah.
And that really took me out because we were on a year by year. So at the end of the year, before you go on summer break, you have a meeting with the head coach.
Yeah.
And he determines what your scholarship's going to be next year. And I tore my hamstring, so I'd missed a couple of meets already. And then I, being young and not of the brightest mind, because again, you think you're invincible, I would push myself through the physical therapy to get back out.
Of course.
And I'm pushing myself, and my coach is pushing
Kind of like
me,
what we
"Okay."
do in the teams too, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, you're hurt? No, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. Put the weight on my back. I got it.
Your bone's sticking out. It's totally normal.
It's totally fine. Just give me some Tylenol. I'll change my socks.
Right.
And so my coach is pushing me to get back. I'm not listening to my body. I'm not listening to the physical therapist. And just the whole season went down the drain. So at the end of the year, coach pulls me in and he's, telling me what my scholarship's going to be. And I'm expecting maybe, I was realistic. It's like, I might lose a little bit. I'll be okay. And he dropped me hard. I went down to like $200 a semester. Right. And I knew I was going to struggle. Right. I was like, man, I can't pay my way through college with this. I'm already taking out loans. Now I'm starting to ask my dad for help, and that's, already breaking my heart.
Yeah.
So I tried that semester, but I couldn't even pay for my books with $200. So I ended up leaving the track team after that fall semester. I just couldn't do it. Got a job, and that's when I got picked up by the rugby team.
For school?
Yep. Now, I wasn't on scholarship, but it was a great activity. So it was something I could do and not be fully committed to while I worked.
Rugby.
Dude, it's a phenomenal sport.
Yeah.
Talk about some tough bastards doing that sport. Yeah.
How long did you play rugby?
Little under 2 years, probably like a year and a half. So towards the end of my college career.
So you're one of the guys that had to do student loans and
Oh yeah.
do the whole thing, huh?
Oh yep.
That's painful.
It was.
Did the Marine Corps take care of you on the backside when you joined?
A little bit. So Marine Corps is not quite like the other services. I mean, I don't know how it is now. There might be.
The Navy will pay it off.
Oh yeah, same as Army, Air Force. I think the Coast Guard does it. Marine Corps is like, hey, it's an honor to serve. You're right.
You're lucky if you get to become a Marine.
Yeah, for sure.
That's enough.
I think they had offered some money. I can't remember what it was now. It did not pay off my college.
No.
And I used a good chunk of that money too to buy a wedding ring for my wife. So it's like, hey, thanks. Thanks again. The brightest financial decision? No, but she
longevity.
It worked out okay.
She's still here.
She loves that ring. So it's great. So I had the student loans and it took us a little while to pay them off, but we were pretty financially conservative with that. So her loans and my loans we were able to pay off in a decent amount of time.
I mean, we've talked about it here a lot. Do you follow Matt Bardew from Apogee Academy by any chance?
No,
you should. You'll like that guy.
I'm going to.
I think he gets brought up on almost every podcast. But we talk a lot about that. We talk about the how normal it is for kids to get $100,000 in student loans. But then if you want to go to a bank and say, hey, I'm going to start a business, can I borrow 10 grand? They're like, get out of here.
Yeah.
But 100 grand in student loans, yeah, absolutely. Of course. Here you go.
Yep.
We'll defer it.
Yep.
You'll pay for it. You'll pay for it for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Talk about keeping somebody down. When they have the chance to rise.
That's the idea, right?
Yeah, 100%.
That's the idea.
Big bank, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So you do college, meet your wife, play some rugby, and then what?
Well, sometime in there, I decided I was going to join the Marine Corps.
Well, so what was that moment? Like, what was that mentality? Everybody wants to know, like, why did you join?
Why did you join? Well, it's interesting that that question, it's like, are you asking me why I joined or why I stayed? Right? Just depending on what you ask.
Right.
We'll start
with why you joined. Right. Because we're definitely going to get why you didn't stay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, it's funny, actually, in high school, because I never saw myself as a college guy. Did not get the best grades in high school. I just didn't care. Like, I did enough to be able to stay playing sports, without having to struggle, like, with the coaches. Like, no, I'll make the grades to stay in my sport. I just don't care.
That's a whole other thing the amount of pressure on grades in high school.
Oh, yeah.
Just like, guys, it doesn't matter.
No.
It doesn't matter.
And the fact that they put that, you're so young, you don't know, you're still growing, your brain is still maturing,
right? And
you're going to put the pressure for the rest of their life on high school. While they're, for guys, they're thinking about sports, they're thinking about girls, they're thinking about cars, thinking about everything.
They're kids,
in the world.
They're trying to enjoy their life,
right?
Yeah.
And you're going to say that the next 4 years of your life dictates the next 60, 70 years? Come on.
It's kind of a joke, but like I get into it with my youngest anymore, my middle kid. She's a sophomore in high school, And every time I drop her off, I have like, I want to cry. I'm like, I feel like I'm dropping her off at like socialist prison.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Absolutely.
And I'm like,
Absolutely.
let me take you out of here. She's like, Dad, I'm too far in.
It's almost over.
It's almost up. She's like, I'm too far in. I'm like, we can do online. We can find a different school. She's like, Dad.
She did do online because you did talk to her about it, and she like did do it online for a while. She tried.
Yeah. And she
It's just she's just bored. She missed her friends.
That's a tough way to learn. Online, that's a tough way to learn.
And she didn't like it. Yeah, it wasn't for her. But I just, like we travel a lot. We go a lot of places. So I'm like, I just want her to like come with us. She's like, I can't get to school. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm like the only parent that's like, what you do there for 8 hours just has no effect on your life in the big grand scheme of things.
No,
but
it
this
really
trip to
doesn't.
Greece or wherever we're gonna go, that
It's going to
does
open your horizons
Yes,
up.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it hurts my heart every time. But anyways, yeah.
No.
But she gets great grades.
Oh,
and
she
she's
gets-
very
she has
proud of her academics.
So here's another thing. She gets perfect grades. She has straight A's. And they will fail. This is this is this whole part of the process. They will fail her if she gets over 10 absences a semester
Quarter, yeah.
with straight A's.
Just because that's their policy?
Just because the policy. But the reason why is because attendance reflects their funding.
Yeah, of course it does.
So,
Just like standardized tests. Of course,
Right.
that's why they
Which
don't
they-
teach them how to
which
live.
she
They
just
teach them how
did.
to take tests.
which she just did today, and
No, this is new. This is new.
yeah. So standardized testing now it used to be for the school, right? It didn't really play in part to your grade. Well, but kids knew that, so they go, well, I don't really care about this.
They either
test.
don't show up or they
They
were
don't do
bombing
it.
them.
Yeah.
So it hurts the school.
Right.
Now standardized testing is 25% of the grade up there.
So that's a
Which
make
I
it,
didn't
that's
even-
make it or break it.
I'm like,
Yeah,
is that even legal? Like, how can you?
I feel like
require-
nothing they do up there is legal.
No. And if it's not, they'll find a way to skirt the rules, of course.
Anyways, that
We'll
just
cut
shows
that
you.
corner.
Yeah, but
Oh,
there's the
man.
system. Your girls are not in. They're homeschooled, right?
Yeah, we homeschool.
Yeah.
Yeah. We tried out public school for a while.
We're at Dixon.
Yeah.
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 Like the
No,
worst.
Not Dixon. Topsail.
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 Which 2 years ago was a really
great school.
Great school.
Really is. We
Great public
really
school.
like the teacher. We like the principal. But with all the mandates started happening, we're like, all right, well, this is a joke. We can't do this.
Yeah.
And we had dabbled in homeschool anyway, and before we had moved here, and so we just decided, yeah, we're just going to do this full time.
Yeah.
Ashley and I discussed it's like, you don't need to go find a job. I make plenty of money. Let's do what's right for the kids. And of course, kids are kids. They want to be around friends, and which is why we have them so hard into jiu-jitsu, and we're doing that so much so they can be around friends. They don't see the negative repercussions of sending them there.
No.
And just like what we're talking about, like they're not teaching you how to live. They're not teaching you how to be good people. They're just teaching you what is being mandated to them.
They're just teaching you to be a cog in the wheel.
Right.
Yeah.
Just they're teaching you exactly what to think, when to think. They're not giving you freedom,
Yeah.
independence. They're not giving you
Yeah.
that. So yeah, we homeschool and it's been great. And where we're going, there's a co-op that we have some cousins who do. It's basically homeschool, but it's like 12
In a group.
12 kids. Yeah, it's like 12 kids.
Well, that's
So
what it
we're-
used to be.
Right.
A long time ago, that's what it was. You got all your family together, and kids did school for a few hours a day.
Yep. And that's really all you need.
And that's really when you strip away all the standing in line and doing going here, going there. It really is about 2-3 hours of school a day.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And the kids are there for 8 hours.
Yeah. Way too long.
Yeah.
Absolutely way too long.
Well, that's cool, man. All right, so we're back to the Marine Corps.
The reason.
The reason I joined. So in high school, because I didn't see myself as a college student, I didn't get the best grades. I was not the best athlete. I was a workhorse and I'd do everything I could and I loved it. I was like, I'm not going to get scholarships enough to go to college. There's no way. So I was like, well, I'll look into the military. I had three grandparents that were in the military. I had an uncle who was military. I was like, why not? And at the time, I wanted to do something big and badass. I was like, man, I'm going to go be a Navy SEAL, right?
Of course, right now.
Of course,
Yeah.
right? Because that's all the movies are made out of.
Right.
So I had gone. I talked to a Navy recruiter, took my parents, did the pre-ASVAB, all that, and they had started to sign up a Bud's contract, right? And a SEAL
Out of high
contract.
school.
Out of high school. So it was like,
wow.
yeah, the contract was basically you go to basic, you'll get a seat at Bud's, good luck.
Yeah.
Right. And then I found out.
Don't quit or get hurt. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Even they weren't even saying that. It wasn't even like, hey, do you
Yeah.
know how to swim? It's like, because you might need to know that.
That would be like question one, right?
Yeah, recruiter didn't care. He was like, oh yeah, I got you, son. That's on my numbers. And then I got a couple of track scholarships, and they weren't major, but it was enough that I was comfortable. Like I can take out loans, and I'll be okay.
Yeah.
Like I can do this. So told the Navy I wasn't coming in. Like nope, I'm done going to college. And so I was a crime delinquency studies major in college, and I was quickly realizing my sophomore year that I didn't want to be a cop. I really didn't have big aspirations to go federal, and FBI and Secret Service, they weren't hiring criminal justice majors. Like as much as people would think that's what it is. No, they want tech guys. They want language guys, right?
And lawyers.
And lawyers, things like that, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, what do I really want to do? And I started thinking about the military again. I was like, man, maybe the military's for me, and I couldn't figure out which service I want to join. Right? Do I go back to the Navy and try to do that whole program? And man, I was praying about it hard. I was like, man, is this really what I want to do? And I was sitting there in the dorms.
Are you already married at the time?
No, not yet. Actually, I hadn't even met Ashley yet.
Oh, okay.
Hadn't even met her. This was right before I met her. So I'm sitting in the dorms. I'm in one of the common areas watching TV, and I'm just thinking hard about it. And I was just like, God, if this is something you want me to do, just give me a sign. Give me anything. I don't care what it is. I flipped the channel, and like the end of a commercial, I will never forget this ever in my life. End of a commercial, it's just some black screen, and it's said something along the lines of like, "This is for you." I don't know what that means. Very next commercial, Marine Corps recruiting.
Which one? Do you remember?
It was the diamond one.
It was it? The officer diamond one?
It was the officer one, right? And so I was like, "Well, man, thanks God, this is it." So I went and talked to a recruiter, and he's like, well, where are you at? What are you doing? And I told him I'm in college. That's what I'm doing. Getting close to being halfway through. And he's like, I can get you on a bus next week, but it sounds like you need to go talk to the OSO. I was like, all right, I don't know what that means. So he told me. I went and talked to him.
So explain that for the people listening, because I get these questions a lot.
Yeah. So if you Google, military recruiter, it's generally going to send you to the nearest
Recruiting station.
strip mall that has a recruiting station. That's almost always going to be for the enlisted side. So if you're wanting to go officer straight out of the box, you need to go talk to an OSO, an officer selection officer. And that's a completely separate office. Like they're never in the same place because they do completely different things.
Yeah.
Right. The OSOs are the guys who are going to college universities, and they're setting up the pull-up bars and getting all the paperwork there compared to the high schools where that's the enlisted guys, right?
So you just have to Google that specific thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you Google Marine Corps Officer Selection Office, whatever area you're in, it'll find you where you need to go, give you a phone call directly.
Is there one, and are they as many of those as there is recruiting stations, or is it?
No.
You have to like travel a little bit.
You
maybe?
might have to. Like I had to go a solid 3 hours to Kansas City, near the airport.
Okay.
The Kansas City airport is where the OSO one is, or for, I think, is it that 12th district, 9th district, something like that. So yeah, so I ended up calling them, went to them, and it all happened pretty quick. Like after that, I was already, like at that point I made up my mind. Like, this is what I'm doing. So I went.
I saw the commercial. I'm going to become a diamond.
Yes, I want to become that guy. Like, I don't know who that is. I don't know what he does. I have no idea anything about the military. I want to be that guy.
He's a paid actor.
Yeah, I want to climb that mountaintop.
Yeah.
So I started going through that process, doing all the initial PFTs, all the paperwork, all the basic recruiting things. Met my wife shortly after that, and I through the game of cat and mouse of her consistently telling me no, I will not hang out with you or go on a date with you, to finally going out on a date with me. She knew that's what I wanted to do.
You gotta chase him down, man.
Yeah, right. Oh man. Yeah, that was a funny, we can get into that, but that's a funny story how I met her too, and her parents. I was just this wild man wearing cowboy boots, and a belt buckle, and she's moving into the dorms. Her parents are helping her move in. I'm downstairs playing pool. There's a pool table down there with a couple of my buddies, and I just look at her. I look at my buddies, like, she's mine.
Dibs.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. So we offered to help. Hey, me and my buddies were like, hey, do you want us to help you move in? And her dad's like, no. Hard pass.
You guys just keep doing what you're doing. I got this.
Hard pass, young buck. I'm like, all right. And so I'd introduced myself to Ashley, and she wanted nothing to do with me.
She's a city girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, beyond that, I had a bit of a reputation that preceded me, and one of her cousins knew me and let her know. Once she told her who I was, she was like, yeah, don't hang out with that guy.
You don't want to ride that roller
He's
coaster.
just going to take you in a dark corner. Good Lord. I was like, I'm not that bad. But she kept saying no. I was like, I just want to hang out with you. Like, can we do anything? So I gave up.
Yeah.
Totally gave up. I was like, all right, she's not into it. I was leaving the dorms to go to track practice. She's walking in from class, and she just tapped me on the shoulder. Goes, hey, I added you on Facebook. I was like, oh, I'm back in. I can do
That's
this.
my window.
Yeah, that's it. And it all starts.
And that was back when you had to have a college email to have a Facebook too, right? It wasn't just like,
yeah.
That was pretty like, to get a
big
Facebook
deal.
friend, it was a pretty big deal back then. There's like, you had to go to that college.
Yeah.
You had to have a college email.
Yep.
It was
I
a
know
whole-
about it, but I was already in the Marine Corps.
You were not Facebooking at
Yeah.
that time.
I was
You
going to Iraq.
you were already a war dog, man.
That's
At that
right.
point. Facebook didn't matter. Mattered to me at the time. So that summer would have been after my sophomore year. I went to OCS Juniors, did the
What's that?
the PLC program. So OCS Officer Candidate School, and they have a couple of different programs. They have one which is really what everyone wants to do, which is a 10-week straight program.
Yeah.
You go for 10 weeks, you finish, and that you either have to be just done with your junior year of college, going into senior year, or you've already completed college. You graduate, you commission right there on the spot, and then you walk across the street to the basic school.
To be TBS.
Right. So I was too young. So I did the PLC program. So I went for 6 weeks the summer of 2008, did the juniors, did junior year of college, came back and it did an additional 6 weeks for seniors, which is not the way you want to do it because it's 2 additional weeks of crap. Because I think I can't imagine how many they lose between juniors and seniors who are like, they finish juniors, are like, I'm not doing that again.
I'm not going back there.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what's funny is once you find out there's such a difference between the enlisted boot camp and the officers OCS, there's such a difference in the way they treat you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I would definitely say OCS, when it comes to like the PT and the physicality, is more demanding. But you don't get messed with as much.
Yeah.
Right? The breakdown period is a lot shorter because they're not looking for that, right? They're not trying to just purely turn you into a cog in the wheel, as you said. They're still trying to get you to lead. So a few weeks of getting messed with, and then they start turning over responsibilities to you, and you start running the show. They're only coming in hot if you're completely, more messed up than a football bat, which happens all the time. So I can't imagine the amount of people that they lose between juniors and seniors. But I was stubborn. I was like, no, I'm doing this. I'm finished.
So when you come back from that first 6 weeks for that year, or do you have to be in like some ROTC program? What's the requirements for that year?
No. So there was no ROTC program at my university at the time. I don't know if there is now. But I had joined completely on my own free will. I would say most of the guys who go through OCS are ROTC guys.
Yeah.
They're just indoctrinated.
Yeah, of course.
Into it already, right? And those are guys who at OCS do pretty well for the most part because they've already been doing the lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
They're wearing a uniform. They've got some sort of rank on their collar for whatever ROTC does. I don't understand enough about that process.
Yeah, neither do I.
No, and
I was a high school dropout.
Super glad I didn't. Super glad I did not do ROTC. No, I did the normal college thing.
But there's not any really requirements for that year then.
No, they just tell you
Come
going
back.
to school and come back.
Do you get paid for that 6 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
You do.
Yeah, you get paid E5 pay.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, minus like all the additional things like BH and all the other things you can get. Just base pay, you get E5 pay.
Yeah.
So it's for a college student, that's good money.
Yeah, for the summer.
Yeah, for the summer, it's good money.
Yeah.
Like that takes you a little bit. So yeah, came back. came back from my seniors, and again, at this point, my wife is sticking with me, you know, through a few hiccups, but she's like, yeah, we're together. I'm like, okay, great. Finished my senior year, and we got married quickly. I commissioned. 2 weeks after commissioning, we got married, and then I worked a temporary job for a while. I mean, it was a full-time job, but it was only a few months till I went to the basic school, and that was just to get us by. And then it was just off to the races, man.
And how long is the basic school?
So the basic school is 6 months. 6 months, and it's not bad at all. I mean, you are a commissioned officer at that point, right? You are a second lieutenant.
But that's really where you learn to be a Marine.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, and that's really where they start.
I don't
teaching you being an
think
officer.
a lot of people understand that are going the officer route. That OCS is almost like
It's a selection.
It's a selection.
It really is.
It's not recruit training.
Right.
You're not learning to become a Marine.
No. You're getting a taste for it.
You're getting a taste for it,
Yeah.
and they're selecting you to see if you can lead.
Right.
TBS is where the basic school, which is it's in Quantico, it's across the street.
Yeah.
That's where really you're getting the skills to become a United States Marine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to learn all the different MOSs.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to take all your tests. You're going to do all of your leadership. You're going out into the field. You're going to the range. You know, OCS, we don't, even though we've got rifles, right, and we're doing drill, not to the same equivalency. I would never want to see an officer do drill versus an enlisted guy. I mean, I have seen it, and it's embarrassing. I may or may not have been that guy. But yeah, you definitely learn to become a Marine at TBS.
Yeah.
I mean, OCS, for anyone who wants to go through that process, and anybody who wants to be an officer, straight officer, not doing like a Mustang program, not coming over from the enlisted. I have seen very few guys when I was there, and since I've been a Marine, who were not invited back from juniors to seniors. I mean, if you can make it through and you can pass all of your tests, you can make all the times on all the physical events. If you can show some semblance of promise, you don't have to be a leader. If you just show that it's possible for you to do it, you'll make it through. You know, again, just like everything, don't quit.
Yeah.
You'll be okay. TBS are where they're going to weed you out.
Do people actually get dropped from TBS?
Very rarely, but yes. You're given multiple opportunities. So there was 2 individuals in my class.
That's where the shitty jobs come from, right?
That's where the shitty jobs come from, for sure.
Yeah.
If you ever wanted to get into like ground supply.
Yeah. So explain that the way, like, you don't just go in and pick your job. You got to pick 3.
Well, you get the entire list.
Yeah.
Right? Every MOS, and you rank them.
Okay.
From 1 to like 22 or however many there are, right? You rank them.
But they go off the top 3.
Top 5 is what they go for. Like, if you get in your top 5, that's a big success for TBS, right? So throughout your 6-month period, I think there's 3 different times you get. Now, this is when things could change, sure. But, you know, when I went into it 12 years ago, this is how it was.
As far as I know, it hasn't changed that much.
I highly doubt it. Other than some controversies which people can look up online with like testing and with land nav, very little has changed.
Yeah.
Right. But we got to we submitted our wish list, if you will, like 3 times. And then really what happens is they take all of those, they rank you, you know, top third, middle third, bottom third, and then all of the staff platoon commanders, so these captains, along with the major, who's the company commander for your company, you kind of just start horse trading. Like, all right, here's our allotment of infantry officers.
Mm-hmm.
Here's our allotment of RD, of AAV, logistics, supply, on down the list. Here's what we have. Here's all of our pilots. If you were a air contract versus a ground contract, they start horse trading. Right. If you're an air contract, you're going to flight school. That's a whole nother monster. You'll find out what you fly based off of that aptitude. But for all the ground guys, they start horse trading. Like, hey, this dude's really good. I really want to be here. Hey, this dude's dad is a general. He's going to be infantry. That happened. That probably happens more often than people think. And that's really how it's done. Now,
welcome to the world of politics in the Marine Corps.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Yeah. And if you have an SPC that doesn't like you and you don't get along with, you will get a shitty job.
Be nice to everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. That happened to me. That's how I had my initial MOS.
Really?
It was not what I wanted. Absolutely not.
Where was that on your top whatever list?
Well, all right. So they tell you when you make your top 5 list,
Yeah.
do not put like all of the low number MOSs in. So if it's something that's only got like 3 allocations, so like don't put all of those into your top 5.
Okay.
Put something that has more allocations in there. I did that for like my number 4 spot. And that's what I got.
Damn.
It's like the safety school for those who apply for college. It's like, oh yeah, here's the college I want to go to. Here's like my safety schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened. I got.
So what was
safety
your
school.
top then?
My top was infantry. Hands down, I want to be an infantry officer. I mean, that's what I had from OCS. You know, like, what do you want to be? Infantry.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I wanted to be. It was like infantry, ground intel,
Yeah, that's a good one.
human intel,
Another good one.
logistics.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
I mean, necessary, yes.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. It is. No, it is. I can't talk too much trash on my old
Yeah.
MOS. And then my 5th one was, man, what was it? It may have been tracks or something. It was something like that. It was another ground. It was another combat
That'd have been
arms.
fun.
Yeah, until I realized how small they are, and I'm super glad that I wasn't in them.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Once you've gotten in them.
yeah. Once you get
Yeah.
in, you're like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, I don't want to be in here forever.
As
Yeah.
cool as it is, but it was another combat arms.
Yeah.
So I had 2 intels. Ground intel being the one, you know, when people think of ground intel, they think of snipers, right? Because those are going to be your sniper platoon commanders or ground intel guys,
Yeah.
and that's why I was like, if I get ground intel, I just want to go sniper school. So yeah, but my SPC and we hated each other. I mean, we absolutely. He hated my personality, you know, because you know me. Especially when I was younger, I was very happy-go-lucky. Very talked a lot, big jokester. He hated that. He was like, "You will never fit in combat arms, ever." He's like, "You will never."
Oh, is
leave.
that a fact?
Yeah, I mean, there was a time where he was literally standing up, yelling at me over this. Friend, I didn't even. I just didn't realize. Like, I didn't even do anything. Why
Yeah,
am I
and see,
here?
this is another issue with the Marine Corps, is what they say they want or what they need is not exactly what they need.
No, it's very
Yeah.
subjective.
Yeah.
Very subjective. So in this case, we just did not see eye to eye. You know, and he's straight up saying you will never, your personnel will never fit in with combat.
Was he
arms.
one of those guys that he wanted you to be like mouth shut, lead from, like, you know everything, I'm the leader, kind of like your typical infantry officer?
I think, well, he wasn't infantry, he was Arty.
Okay.
So Arty was my last choice, by the way, because of him. I'm dead serious. I was like, nope, I will take any supply, anything
I just
over
want,
you.
I
I
don't
will
wanna be-
switch to an air contract.
I don't want to be anywhere near you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what's, you know, ironically now, if I could ever see him again, I'd be like, hey, remember when you said that I would never be combat arms?
Or a good one.
Guess what?
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Wrong.
But yeah, so we didn't get along, and you know, so he pulls me off and said, hey, congratulations, you got into your top 5. I'm like, okay, interesting. He's like, yeah, you got logistics.
Roger that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. But there was another guy, again, why I said General's son, who I don't remember what MOS he got, but he was pissed. Literally within a week, he gets changed over to infantry because his dad's a general.
Damn.
Right? No, he was a good dude. Don't get me
Sure,
wrong. He was
sure.
he was strong, and he was more than warranted. Should have gotten that MOS. He just didn't.
Yeah.
But because of those connections, he ended up getting what he wanted.
You didn't have no connections, did you, Kyle?
No, no.
From
At the
Abilene,
time, yeah.
Kansas.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, that is the hometown of Dwight D. Eisenhower, though. So I guess I could have pulled that one off. Hey, I know. I've seen Dwight D. in his tomb. You know,
Nobody cares.
nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
So, okay, so you graduate TBS.
Yeah,
You go to log school.
went to log school. Yeah. I had a sweet beach house though with a couple other
bet.
lieutenants,
I bet.
and we were up at Emerald Isle.
Yeah.
Right on the beach, massive mansion. This dude was getting ready to sell his house, but he wasn't ready yet, and we were just like, "Hey, we'll give you our BAH." He's like, "Yes." So we had a beach house, and me and 3 other lieutenants. Good and bad, right? Like we fought sometimes, especially when my wife came and moved in with us for a few months. Like it got awkward, but no, it was great. Yeah, log school. From there, I went to 1st Marine Division, California. Went to Headquarter Battalion, 1st MARDIV, and things just started going fast. right? So we show up, me and my buddy, who he's also a Sioux now. I mean, we had followed each other from TBS, right? We show up, and we both get told, hey, there's a deployment coming up to Afghanistan. Do you guys want to go? We're like, yes. Sign me up. Had no idea what we were going to be doing. He's like, all right, you're going to be the logistics officer. You're going to be the S4. And my buddy, who is also a logo, but they're like, hey, you're going to be the S3. You're going to be the operations officer for the battalion. Mm-hmm. So for those you don't know, this is a major's position at the battalion. We're second lieutenants. So we're doing the job well above our pay grade, right? That one up, one down. No, you're going to skip a couple. Okay.
With no experience.
No experience.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. It was a good deployment. It really wasn't, I mean, obviously it wasn't what we wanted when you think of deployment.
Yeah.
We weren't getting into gunfights. We weren't chasing down the enemy. In my case, I was just supporting the guys who were. Mm-hmm. There was, we had a couple rotations of recon that went out there, and we helped them with some speedballs, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But that's about as close as I got. I went out on a couple of
Let me tell you something. From the receiving end of that kind of stuff, it pays a huge dividend when you have somebody who gives a shit enough to get that done right.
Right, for sure.
I mean, it sucks really bad to be out on mission and your support cells
Complete fails.
Either fails or just doesn't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's now that's a hard job.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about on the conventional side.
Yep.
It is a difficult job, especially in the during that specific time in Afghanistan and Sangin and all the things that were happening out there. Like that was shitty.
Yeah.
It was shitty. And there's a lot of rotations that had some really shitty support. So much so in, I think it was 2009 in one of the, I think it's when you were coming in, but in 2009, they did a big push down in the green zone and really shitty support. SOTF had to get involved and did a bunch of speedballs. Had to get them because I don't know if you remember this. Marines, they basically went in on helos. Mm-hmm. So they only had one pair of camis, and after patrolling down there for something, like most guys were patrolling in cami tops with silkies and boots.
Because that's all they had.
They didn't have pants.
Everything was destroyed.
Yeah. Yeah. So the SOTF got involved and actually sent a bunch of stuff down to them. And oh man, it was just,
the fact that it takes that level to get there.
What the hell, man?
Isn't that exactly what, when you say, why'd you join? Like, that's why.
Right.
That's why I joined.
Yeah.
What did you all forget?
Yeah. To be, it truly is like, granted it's a system and, all of us Marines that are out, we know that it's a flawed system, but there's a system. But man, it really only takes like one or two really good guys to really affect some positive change.
Yep.
At least if you can affect change in your team, your platoon, your company, your battalion, just at that level, it makes a difference in a lot of people's lives.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Anyways, that's my support talk.
No, it's true what you say though, man. Like the support guys have a role in if the personalities can get over their egos and realize what you're there for, it makes the world a difference. You see the ego is what gets in some guys' way.
I knew that because being from an admin guy prior to going to Second Force, I was a poke for 3 years, and so when I got to being a recon Marine and a Raider, it was like, dude, I took care. You guys need. If I show up somewhere, it's probably with a case of beer. If I need something, I'm bringing a case of beer to supply.
100%.
S1, yep. What do you guys? What's your drink of choice? Yeah. I got you.
What whiskey do you want?
You know what I'm saying? Because
what piece of sweet gear do you need?
Because those are the dudes taking care of me.
Yep.
So how can I take care of them? I can't just. I'm not going to expect them to just go over and beyond for me and my team.
Yep.
So you got to grease the skids a little bit, but that's kind of the way it is. You Kansas City people know how that is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do that Kansas City shuffle.
Yep.
Kyle knows about that too.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right. So the second deployment. So you go back from that.
Yeah, went back. Still with Headquarter Battalion, but now I'm with a truck company, Company Bravo. So my buddy and I come back. He gets Truck Company Alpha, and he deploys almost immediately. He attaches his platoon to, I believe, 3-4, 2-4, something like that, and he deploys to Afghanistan. I end up getting lucky, and I attach to Victor 3-7. And like anything, we're the outsiders.
Of course.
So me and my commander at the time, again, we didn't see eye to eye. There's a thread with there's a pattern here where I don't always get along with my commanders.
Let me tell you something. I've got a whole career of that.
Yeah.
So
So you get it.
So I understand.
You know what? That relationship changed towards the end of the deployment, which is good. But again, I was this guy who thought he was just this larger than life character, you know, and that's who I was going to be, you know, right or wrong.
Well, that's kind of yourself. You're just being you.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. But it doesn't always pay to be like that.
No, it doesn't.
You know, it takes maturity and a little bit of integrity to realize when to throttle that back. But we attached to them, and man, that was a great deployment. You know, we did split team ops, split platoon. So I was in Shergazi with half of my platoon and half of 3-7's Motor T platoon. The other half was in Shakvani, and we were just running, you know, twice weekly, and we were just bolting out to different fobs. And all we were doing was just tearing places down. We just take the ISO containers.
Yeah, but movement, that's one of the most dangerous things you can do.
Oh, yeah.
Is back and forth and move and,
Yeah.
you know, all those route lines and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got lucky for the most part. So we were almost never allowed to leave the fob without route clearance.
Mhm.
There was only twice that we did. And I'm not entirely sure they meant for that to happen. But we were just like, yeah, we have a schedule. We're out. So foolish, but we got lucky. So the only time IEDs ever got hit for us was route clearance, finding them the hard way, because that's what route clearance does.
Yeah. Bless those guys, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. Dude,
Yeah.
it's amazing watching them work. Like, they'll get hit, vehicle just gets torn to shreds, and the dude's just in his pod, like, yeah, I'm good. And then they just come, they pick it up, put a new vehicle together.
Oh, he's not good. He's good at that
Well,
moment.
yeah, he's good at that moment. He's like, yeah, I'm not dead.
I'm
Like,
not
good.
dead, yeah.
He's rattled.
We'll deal with that years down the road.
Yeah, for sure. The VA will deal with that claim.
Yeah, right.
But man, watching them work, it's slow and arduous, but man,
Yeah.
they know what they're doing.
It's just so dangerous, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that you did something like how many ops on that one? With how many guys?
I had around 25 to 30 dudes. Man, how many convoys?
It was like over 500, right? Something like that.
Between the two platoons, maybe, but that's that's probably stretching it.
Yeah.
We probably, because there were also times where we'd go weeks without doing anything, just because they weren't ready. They're like, yeah, we don't have any containers for you to pick up. Don't come. Got it. So there was times where we'd spend weeks just sitting there lifting weights, you know, sitting in the sun, just sweating, working on our trucks.
Stand by.
Yeah.
Did you have kids at the time?
I had just had Caroline.
How was that?
That was tough.
First time dad being gone.
First time dad being gone. You know, I counted my blessings, though. I was there for the birth.
Yeah.
And 3-7 was getting ready for their final exercise, and Caroline was coming. Like, my wife was in labor, and I had called 3-7. I was like, hey, like, what do you want me to do? And they were awesome. They're like, hey, be there for the birth. Take your 10 days. We do not need you yet.
Yeah.
And so my platoon went up there without me. And I stayed behind 10 days, took care of my wife, went up there, and it was awesome.
Sometimes in the moment, we think that 10 days is a big deal.
Yeah.
Like operationally.
Right.
In the grand scheme of things.
It's nothing.
It's nothing. It's not. Like, you're not going to miss anything. There's nothing,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. When we've got our, like, head logistics guy for the nation taking a couple months of baby leave.
Right.
You know what I mean? I won't name names.
Right.
But when he can take a lot of paternity leave and we get 10 days, it's like, hey, it's okay. I'll take what I can get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like what happened at the undeployment? Like you roll in and 10 days later, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they hadn't done any of their final graded exercises yet. My guys were taking care of all the daily runs they needed to do with the support, but nothing that I needed to be there for was present. So I show up and everything was smooth.
Especially in our field, you know, guys get wrapped up into that world to where it's like everything is either an emergency or everything has to be done now.
Right. Or if I miss it, it's going to completely fall apart.
But like long term, this is what I've gotten, you know, and you learn this later in life, right? Like I was not this guy when I was, or towards the, you know, beginning and middle of my career. Towards the end, I was, because that's why one of the reasons why I got out. But you know, you being there for your family, you being there for your, you know, kids' births, and you know, as much as you can, right? As much as you can, those things pay dividends long term.
Yeah.
Yeah. because eventually the Marine Corps is going to be done with you.
Yep.
And it's those people that you'll be with,
Yep.
not the Marine Corps.
Nope.
They're going to forget about you. The phone's going to start ringing. They're not going to care.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I hate to break it to everybody, even your best friends in the Marine Corps, those calls will stopping. I mean, you'll catch up every once in a while.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's if you got a family, if you got kids, those are the ones. Make that stuff count.
Yep.
Because
absolutely.
it does.
Yep.
Yeah.
That are relationships that are going to last the test of time.
Yeah, your 10 days and whatever, workup, training, exercise, it doesn't matter.
Drops in the bucket.
Yeah, it drops in the bucket.
Yeah.
So
But it was
you
a
get
great
back.
deployment. Yeah. Yeah. So that deployment was great. You know, some dealt with some hard stuff, especially, you know, having a newborn baby, and some things that we saw, and some things that some events that occurred were pretty difficult to deal with at the time, but came back safely. Everybody came home.
Did that change your I mean, it did for me, your perception, like those ops and some of the things that happened out there?
It absolutely made me more closed-minded.
Really?
If I'm being completely honest, yeah, you see the difference between the United States and everywhere else.
Yeah.
You see the way that the people treat each other for everything that the news media wants you to believe that's going on in the world. People don't understand.
No, I know.
And you see the things that we see over there, and you're like, yeah, no, this place is absolutely phenomenal. I never want to leave it ever. I don't care what happens. It's like, I will die in this place.
Yeah.
Like, my ashes will be scattered in the United States, 100%. So yeah, it made me more closed-minded in that sense.
Yeah.
Right, like it opened the horizon, opened the aperture, sure. But it made me more closed-minded. It made me realize what I had and what I was really fighting for, what I was really truly doing.
Yeah. But you don't know that until you see those things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as much as you want to bang it through somebody's head and be like, they have to see it for themselves.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it from a book.
There's people in the world that are just evil.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah, there are people who are absolutely just purely savage.
Yeah.
And until you see some of the things, until you experience it, until those smells that stay in your brain.
The people, I think that's the reason why they don't fully understand, you know, our generation or the people that do what we've done.
Yeah.
Because we'd see that kind of stuff. And meanwhile, they're like, no, we should be, their rights matter too, and this and that. And I'm like, you don't get it.
They don't care about their rights.
No.
They don't care about each other's rights. Like, that's not a thing.
Or they're even their own families.
No, they care about virtue signaling about other people's rights.
Yeah.
That's what they care about.
So it's you know, unless you've been there, you just don't know. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. But we came back. And at that time, you know, being a logistics officer, I quickly realized I was about to sit behind a desk for the rest of my career.
Yeah. Especially because you're at this point, what rank are you?
Well, I was a senior lieutenant about to become a captain.
Okay.
Like I was right on the cusp.
Yeah.
When I got back. And I was like, no, absolutely not. I was like, I will not sit behind a desk for the Marine Corps doing logistics for the rest of my career. Like I cannot do this. So I started looking at other options, and me and my buddy, we had looked into MARSOC, and we're like, man, that sounds like a direction we want to go. It's again, same buddy who I've been with the whole time. And I went and talked to my wife about it. I was like, hey, I think this is something I want to do. I need your honest opinion here. It's like, because what I don't understand could fill books. What I do understand is this is going to be hard.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard on me. It's going to be hard on you, and
I think that's an understatement.
Absolutely.
And people don't really realize the level of intensity that you're going to have to bring to the table in time that you're going to have to invest to join a unit like that.
Yep. Yeah. The toll it's going to take on not just your body. That's the thing everybody knows.
Yeah. Your relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Your relationship with everybody.
Yeah.
And we were pregnant with our second child at the time as this is coming on.
So it's not
We're
something,
expecting.
it's not something that you can not be on the same page with your significant other.
Absolutely not. You will absolutely fail.
That will one way either that relationship's going to fail or you're going to quit.
Yep. Or both.
Yeah. Right.
You know,
at different times. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I had brought it to her, and And she knew that, back in high school, I wanted to be a SEAL, right? Like, this is the type of job I wanted. She knew the whole time I wanted to be infantry. This is what I wanted to do. But I told her, I was like, you make an honest assessment. Because if you tell me no, if you tell me this is not for us.
It's too much.
It's too much for me. Especially, again, we have a small child.
How old was she
pregnant,
at the time?
She would have been 1.
Oh, God.
1.
Yeah.
And Nora's right behind her.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're only 15 months apart. So I was like, if you tell me no, I won't do it. I absolutely won't. I'll either stay in the Corps as a logistics officer or I'll start looking outside, which isn't what I wanted to do. And she looked me just dead in the face. She said, no, you need to do this. She's like, you will regret it for the rest of your life if you don't try. So even if you don't succeed.
And for the women listening or men or husbands or wives or whatever, the significant other, that's a really good point, because if you do not support each other in their individual dreams, what happens is a lot of times, and you probably wouldn't, you probably would have been like, okay, I'm going to do it with the family. But eventually there is some deep down regret,
Yep.
and then and that turns into resentment.
Yep.
And that's going to come out in other damaging ways.
Absolutely.
And so that's why it's so important to be on the same page with your significant other and being like, hey, listen, it's not for me, but I know that long term, it's like, this is what's good for us.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's absolutely going to manifest.
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But she was honest. She knew that that's what I want to do. She said, no, go for it. Like, you need to try.
Yeah.
And so what's funny is, so MARSOC has the website, right? You go and you type in MARSOC and you go to the website. And it's just like this black screen, and it has, you just put in your
very simple stuff.
Very
Yeah.
simple. Just put in your information. We'll send you stuff.
Yeah.
So I put in my information just because I don't know what this is about, and I have a question. Like, do you have questions? I was like, yeah. What is this? like beyond the mystique and the fantasy that we all think, it's like, legitimately, what is this? So I get an email from the officer recruiter, and he was super, like, right into it, like, very forward. Like, hey, I looked at your MOL. It looks good. I think you've got a good shot. Fill out all these forms and get it to me by Monday. I was like, okay, I guess this is happening now.
Do you remember who the recruiter was?
I can see his face. I cannot.
Okay.
He's out now.
Okay.
Really awesome guy. Really younger major at the time. Really, really awesome guy. So I filled out all the information, and it just started speedballing. It's like, hey, you're going to ANS in January of 2015. I was like, okay, I don't know what that means.
So hold on. So you're at what unit at the time?
I was still with Headquarter Battalion. So I left the truck platoon. I was the executive officer for Headquarter Company, Headquarter Battalion.
So, and you're about to be a captain.
Yes, I picked up captain December of 2014.
Okay,
so it's right before then.
Okay, so you just went online, filled it out. The guy emailed you back.
Yeah.
Have you told anything to your unit yet?
No. I hadn't said anything.
I haven't said a word.
I hadn't said a word yet.
Okay.
I mean, some of them knew that I was contemplating it. They didn't know that I was like,
you filled out the paperwork.
Full bore.
Yeah. You filled out the paperwork. He's like, you're going to ANS, and when?
January 2015.
Did the unit know yet?
No. At that point, I was like, all right, well, because you got to do a physical, you got to do the SW physical and everything. So at that point, I had started to make it very apparent that this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
But and I guess because you wanted to talk about how you get there. So for those who are listening and those who are interested, especially the young officers listening, in order to go to ITC, I'm jumping on a little bit because now you can go to ANS without it, but you can't go to ITC. You have to be career designated. So for the officers, you should know what that means.
Yeah, explain what, for the young kids, explain what that means.
So to be career designated, right, you come into the Marine Corps as an officer and you've got your set 4 or 5 year contract that you're going to do. In that time, as you're getting closer to being a captain, usually around that 4-year mark, you have to present yourself to a board to decide if you were going to be career designated. And what that means is the Marine Corps is going to keep you past your contract. They're going to take your EAS away.
Yep.
You no longer have an EAS. You were just indefinite.
Is end of obligated service.
Yes.
Yeah, active service. Yep.
So you become indefinite.
Yep.
For that time period. And they're going through your entire record. They're going through, especially TBS, like how you did at TBS, which for me wasn't great. So I was already sweating bullets, right? So they go through everything. They rack and stack you with all of your peers. And they say, hey, is this guy worth the investment of keeping around the Marine Corps?
Yeah.
Or should we say, no, thank you.
Yeah.
It's time for you to move on. Right. And for me, if we're being full open kimono, that was how it was for me. They're like, no, we don't see you as worthy, and that happened to me twice.
No way.
That happened to me twice. I got passed over for career designation twice.
What was the issue? Fit reps or
No idea. It was partially fit reps. Again, me and some commanders didn't see eye to eye.
telling commanders to fuck off, that kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wasn't that bad. Again, it was a lot of personality conflicts. It was never my work ethic.
That was me.
Color me shocked. It was never my work ethic. It was never my abilities. It was always personality conflicts.
Yeah, of course.
So I got passed over twice, and for the young officers and those listening, usually you only get 2 shots. Now I was lucky because I had accepted money coming out of OCS.
Oh, that's right.
For college, I owed 6 more months.
Mm-hmm.
So we had put me up onto a meritorious board, went up on the meritorious board and got selected from that. But then they found out that I was actually going to be in long enough to get a 3rd regular career designation board. They pulled that from me, gave it to somebody else. So now
Meritorious?
they pulled it because I was going to be in long enough to get a 3rd board, which is very rare. They're like, you can't be
dirty little assholes, man.
right. They're like, you can't be meritoriously selected if you had the chance to be on a normal board. And I was like, I am fucked. There's no
Like this board situation is not
it's
working
not
for me.
working for me.
Yeah.
Like the meritorious board is great because they
great.
went deeper into my package. They realized, oh, he's not an idiot. He's just sometimes an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I got lucky that third go and boom, career designated.
Yeah.
So I got lucky. So yeah, filled out all my paperwork, went to selection in January 2015. Right out, I picked up captain December 2014, turned around and went to selection.
So the 3rd board worked.
3rd board worked. Got career designated. 3rd board. Yeah.
3rd time's a charm.
3rd time's a charm. Yeah. So you're saying there's a chance. Yeah.
So that you got ANS. Now you got orders, right? You get orders to ANS.
Right.
Now you didn't have to go through, I always forget what it's called, with the pre-ANS.
No, so they actually took that away, and now it's you do they call phase 1 and phase 2.
Right.
So everybody goes to phase 1.
Oh, so you do go to phase. You
Yeah.
did go through phase
Everybody
1.
goes to phase 1 now.
Okay. That's
'cause
good.
You'd be amazed how many people show up and can't swim.
Yeah, that was the big deal. Like we had people, I mean, this is way long time ago. But we had officers that would show up and they would just, there was no pre.
Yeah.
But man, they just didn't do so well.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think there's a bad thing there too. And the reason they shifted around is, for those who are listening, those who are interested, when you go to ANS, you don't have a rank.
Right.
You're just who you are. I was just Kyle Mann.
Candidate.
Yeah. Well, candidate phase 2.
Yeah.
Right. I was just Kyle Mann. I was just a guy in a uniform.
Oh,
with
in
no
phase
rank.
1.
Yeah.
you're
Phase
just
1. Nobody
nothing.
knows. Yeah.
So they start out that way.
You start out that way. You
That's
start
good.
out from ground level. Absolutely.
Good. Yeah.
Because they want everyone to be evaluated from that same standpoint.
Did everybody think you were enlisted?
Yeah. Yeah. They're like, oh, we just thought you were like a really old
Sergeant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I sure wasn't.
Well, I thought that when we first met,
I think a lot of people do.
just because of the way you engage with others is
Yeah.
very much more so on like the way we do.
Well, I appreciate that. I take that as a great compliment.
It is.
I really
it
do.
is because, and we'll get into that, but yeah, there's some method. I think there's even some method to that madness.
Yeah, absolutely.
That other people could take from as a lesson.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I show up phase 1. And I don't.
Did you
things have
prepare?
shifted. Oh yeah. Yeah. That ANS prep guide,
You did that one?
I did that twice, not all the way through. I got up to week 7, and then I went to a month-long field op where I did as best as I could, right, with what you got. I came back, and because I had been gone a month, I started over and got to week 8. So I had done a massive amount of prepping.
Yeah.
That prep guy was great. It was fun. The advice I give anybody, have you met Corey at the gym?
I don't know.
He's a young sergeant, blonde hair, really energetic guy. He's wanting to go through a program. Best advice I ever give anybody, without giving away what goes on is, one, follow that prep guide. Two, the book Chosen Soldier by Dick Couch. Even though it's about SF,
Doesn't matter.
it gives you such an in-depth.
To SOCOM. Yeah.
Right. In that, like for ANS specifically, man, you got the keys. You got the keys to the kingdom right there. And then I tell them, watch Surviving the Cut, the SF one and the Recon one.
Yeah.
It's like, you watch those, you read that book, and you do the ANS prep. You got, and then and you've got a huge key in that, right?
Yeah.
The ANS prep is like, you go through those programs. Physically, you'll be fine.
Well, that's my talk, and like that's what we talk about with Raider prep, or ANS prep, right? SF ANS prep, because it's all the same thing.
Right.
We talk about, like, when you look at, and this gets to more of the operational level, even in special operations, anything. You look at risk management.
Yeah.
So it's like, what risk, what things can I mitigate? Well, I can't control, certain aspects of selection that I don't know.
Right.
The one thing that I do, like, what is the requirements for physical, like, they're telling you what I should be able to do. So physically, I can get in the best shape of my life.
Yep.
And mitigate that issue.
Completely take that.
For instance, when I got out, I don't think it was 15 that I climbed Rainier. And so I got hurt on Bolivia on a Discovery Channel show. Came back, got better from that. Immediately got bucked off a horse and like jacked up my back bad.
Nice.
Yeah. And great, funny. They got it all on video. It's hilarious. In
retrospect.
Yeah, as I'm trying to like breathe air, get air back into my lungs.
Oh my Lord.
So that was messed up. So I got this spot on this team to go climb Mount Rainier, and I had maybe 4 weeks. Allie, maybe 4 weeks.
You had, depending on how you want to look at it, because part of it was the recovery while we were there, and then you had a second surgery. So like 6
after all that.
Yeah, 6-ish maybe.
So I looked at it and I go, I'm mentally is not an issue.
I was so worried.
Right. Mentally not an issue.
Right.
Physically, I'm recovering off of some serious
A little
things.
spicy.
Yeah. And then one thing that I was like, altitude. I live at sea level. Altitude, I cannot just roll a dice and hope that I don't get altitude sickness. So I got with Hypoxico and got a tent.
Nice.
And I was like, this is the one thing I can completely mitigate is being, so I basically slept at just over 10,000 feet for a month.
We slept at over 10,000 feet.
Because I got a tent. And put
I
it
was
over
seeing
the
like
whole
Tweety
bed.
birds sometimes when I opened it. Like, whoa.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Absolutely.
She hated it. She's like, I hate this thing. I'm like, sorry. This is what we have to do. We're sleeping over 10,000 feet. And then I would train with the mask and get on the Stairmaster and do kettlebells and stuff. That was the one thing that I did not have completely. Had no issues with altitude while other people were getting altitude sickness. So, and he goes, going back to selection, take a look at what you're doing and then go, I'm going to mitigate as many of the issues that I can.
Yep.
And then the unknown I deal with when the unknown happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. The last thing I always say to people is just be humble.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the amount of guys who would be peered out, and they could be 100% right. They could be strong as hell, good overall, would appear on paper like exactly what you want, but they don't know the definition of humility. They've never said the word humility.
Yeah.
And that can take you a lot farther. There are plenty of guys in MARSOC who
I probably wasn't that humble going through selection.
But you had everything else.
Yeah.
I
almost did get peered out on one point, and we won't have to get into it because I don't want to share too much about it. But I almost did get peered out one time. I was with a lot of, I don't remember the rank. This might have been like selection, and I can pull my cert, but like number 2 or 3.
Okay.
And we were on, a thing, and they I think they did peer me out technically, like paperwork wise.
Yeah.
Like far as the team.
Yeah, but the cadre, they overrode it.
Yeah, but it was pretty bad. But they were young guys who had never done that kind of work. And, me going in selection, I was with 2nd Force, I was with 3rd Recon, and then I came back to 2nd Force, but it turned into 2nd Raider Battalion. And so then I'm going through selection. I'm a staff sergeant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Been to combat. You know what I mean? I've done multiple deployments in that job field. And anyways, I got a little heated with some of the guys.
I'm sure.
Yeah. And
which is not unwarranted.
They were like, he doesn't listen and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, it was basically like, you shut the hell up. You pick that up. You do this. You do that. And we're moving out of here. Stop your bitching. They were like, it wasn't teamwork. He just told us what to do.
Yeah. Did it get done?
Yeah, we got there.
There you go.
We got there. Yeah,
but that's the last thing I always tell people is be yourself, be humble.
Yeah.
And that'll take you really far. And just don't quit.
Don't
quit.
I try to tell people the same thing, man. Like people make a permanent decision over a temporary problem.
Damn straight.
Like you're in pain.
Yep.
Bro, this pain is gonna pass.
Yep.
Do not make a permanent, because once you make that decision, it is done, and that decision is gonna keep with you for the rest of your life.
You never make a decision going uphill.
No.
You always wait till you're at the top.
Yeah.
Never make a decision.
Even at the bottom, maybe. At the bottom, when you're all done with the whole thing, you're like, yeah, it wasn't for me. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you know.
By all means, you make a good educated decision.
Yeah.
I won't do it again.
I'm not going to do that again. That was horrible.
You can't stop time.
Yeah. So you went through selection.
Yep.
And
got selected.
Good.
That was a huge surprise to me because towards the end you kind of figure out who's who in the zoo, right? Like the officers start to know who they are.
I like I don't know, maybe this is giving too much. I like the disappearing act.
Oh yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah. It's like, are they coming back?
Nope, they're gone.
No, they're
They
gone.
just disappear. You don't know when, you don't know how, they just disappear.
Well, I knew who my peers were at that point. I was like, these guys are strong. These are strong leaders. They have, a couple guys, like they have an aura about them that you want to be around them.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not that good. I was like, there's no way. And I'd resigned myself, right? I was like, I didn't quit. Like I made it to the end. And that's what I promised myself I'd do, is I'm going to make it to the end. No matter come hell or high water.
Do everything you can do.
I will be here standing at the end. If they don't select me, they don't select me.
That's
I can't control that.
No, that's out of your control.
Right?
Yeah.
So they call out 5 of our numbers. And I'm one of them. And I'm like, oh shit. And you don't know which way it's going to be. I was like, is this good or bad?
Am I taking a long bus ride here?
Right. And so, but I'm looking around. We're outside. I'm looking around at the other 4 guys, the 4 of the guys who got selected. I was like, this is a good group of dudes. Like, I'd be very surprised. And sure enough, the 5 of us, we were the initial selects. They selected 5 more officers afterwards. But we are the initial selects.
Do you have to go to the board?
I did not.
You did not have to go to the board?
No board.
Oh, so you were immediate.
Yeah, I was green. Yep.
They boarded the shit out of me.
I've been a part of some of the boards.
Have you?
Yeah. I've gone up there on the back end.
Yeah, I went up there before I got out. I went up there.
Yeah.
Awesome, wasn't it?
Good time.
Awesome.
When you're going through, you don't see it.
No.
On the backside, the amount of support that goes into that.
Well, not only that, but the actual selection process and the information that they're looking at.
It's a beast.
It's a beast.
It's
man.
a beast.
It's one of the best programs ever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hands down, and I think that's one of the benefits of MARSOC coming in so late into SOCOM is they were really able to pull a lot of the good things and kind of dismiss a lot of the bad. I mean, there were some mistakes that are still being made, and we're still paying the price for them and trying to change, of course. Like that's by nature of creating something new.
Well, we also created it during a wartime.
Yes. And now we're struggling because we're going into peacetime.
Yeah. So there's some issues that occur when that happens as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, so that was a great experience, man. I remember being able to change over, took a shower, change over, and like I was wearing normal civilian gear, right? So civilian attire. And I got my cell phone back, and I called my wife, and she was like, well, I got selected. Man, just the elation you feel.
Oh, I know.
You know what I mean? And then quickly after that, realizing, holy crap, I haven't even done the hard stuff yet.
Oh, not even close. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's hard, but no.
Oh yeah, ANS. That is not fun.
Yeah.
We went
but compared to what you're going to do in the first 3 months of ITC,
it's nothing.
Yeah,
it's a stepping stone. But it was great, man. So the elation there was phenomenal.
So you're a captain at this point?
Yep, captain, junior captain.
Did you go back to your unit?
Yes, for a few months I had to go back. I had no real job because they knew I was leaving.
Yeah,
which did not help me. So they're like, "Yeah, you're going to be the special activities guy."
Oh God.
It's like the S5. I was like,
Yeah,
I don't know what this means. So like, I don't know. They gave me some projects to work on temporarily, which was fine. But really, that just opened me up because they're like, we know you're leaving. Just go get back into shape. Because you lose weight at A&S. You're not at your peak anymore because they break you down. So just getting back in shape, swimming a lot, running a lot, rucking.
Put some muscle back on.
Right.
Yeah.
Just getting ready for ITC. So that was great. But I got good endorsements from all my commanders. And again, kind of going back to TBS and that SPC, I was like, I'm one step closer, dude. I'm one step closer to getting there. And if I ever see you after this, I'm going to let you know.
Should have sent him an email.
Yeah. I say that like I'm
card.
I say that like I'm some big tough guy. Like I'm going to go like confront him, be like, hey, remember me? To be honest, if I ever saw him, I would just shake his hand.
Yeah.
Hey, I hope you're doing well.
Yeah.
Because I am. I'm doing okay.
Yeah. He's gonna be like, who are you?
That's probably no. You know what's funny? So I saw him in Afghanistan on my second deployment. We had brought back a massive convoy of stuff back to Leatherneck, dropping off. Then we were gonna sleep, shower, chill, and drive back out to Shergazi. I saw him at the chow hall, and I did go and he knew. We made eye contact, and he was like, I was like, hey sir,
how you doing?
Good to see you. How are you?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, what are you doing? And I just do the small talk. He remembers me. He remembers me. I made that kind of an impact on his psyche.
Man. All right. So you went back, and then you do, once you graduate, once you get selected, you got to go back to your unit.
Yeah.
And then check out, do all your stuff, and then.
Right.
Now, are you completely out of your unit when you go to ITC?
Yeah. Yeah. You're completely out.
You're with MARSOC.
You are with MARSOC at that point. If you quit, odds are you're going back to your MOS. It's usually what happens. But yeah, they'll send you wherever needs of the Corps at that point, right? Because you just signed on for another 5 years.
Yeah.
Like you will finish this out.
Yeah.
It's not like there was all kinds of rumors like, oh, if I quit, I can just get out.
No.
Like, no.
No.
The Marine Corps will get its pound of flesh.
Yeah.
Right. They just gave you up.
And for those of you like listening, like just because you got selected doesn't mean that you're in.
No.
You've got a long road to go.
Long road to go.
Yeah.
A lot can happen there.
Yeah.
Like you do not graduate with the same amount of people that went in. And that's not just quitters.
Yeah.
People will get dropped.
Yeah, they get hurt. They don't pass.
Get hurt.
Yeah.
Yep. And of course I got to see that on the other side as well, being an instructor. So I see all of the things that the students try to get away with.
So you went through ITC.
Went through ITC. Yep. One time, which was good. Didn't have to do it twice. But man, that was a great experience.
Yeah.
It is tough, physically demanding. I remember
Not with your family a lot.
Not with your family. I didn't bring my family out initially.
Oh, really?
No. Because
a lot of people try.
They do. I knew that if I could get past phase 1, I'd probably be okay. There's always a chance, but I'd probably be okay.
Yeah.
So phase 0, phase 1 happened.
Well, it's because mentally people just crumble.
Yep, absolutely. Phase 2 and on, really now it's more technical. Like there's a lot that can happen for sure, but quitting because of physicality is very rare.
Yeah.
Past phase 1.
Yeah.
So I got past phase 1, and my wife and I decided, we had 2 kids now, because I had Nora. She was born in November of 2014, so she was right before A&S. So I also have a string of my wife giving birth and then me leaving, which is good.
Oh, I'm there both times.
Right. It just
both times.
That's
One
the
was
core.
6 weeks later. One was 3 months later.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the core.
Yep.
So we had made the decision because originally we're just going to wait this out and see what happens. And after phase 1 we decided, so it was the Christmas break. I was like, hey, do you want to come out here? I'll get an apartment. And sure enough, I flew home, drove her out during the Christmas break, and she stayed in an apartment. But still, even though they're there, you don't see them very often. ITC is demanding.
But it's better than phase 1's nothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
0.
Yep.
Yeah.
So finished up ITC. Had a phenomenal group of guys around me. Guys who I very much look up to. There's only a handful of my peers still in. Those who are in, most of them are looking at the other side and really trying to make that decision. is it better on the outside, or is the grass greener because there's more shit? You know, there's more manure to fertilize it.
Yeah.
You know, but they're all making that decision. Most of my peers are already out. They had already pulled that trigger. But yeah, so graduated, great group of guys, got orders to first. So went straight back out to California. And man, I love that place. Great battalion. Great group of individuals to work for. Could not have been happier.
Did you ever run into a Don Hooper?
Man, that sounds familiar. I bet if I saw his face, I
was
would
a
be like,
bald
yes.
head, real big guy. He was a recon guy with me, and then went and I think he did some sort of officer program. Became the Lago for first a while back. This is a few years ago.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so. I bet if I saw his face, I'd be like, oh yeah, I passed you in the hallway at one
Yeah.
point. You know, tip my hat to you.
So what'd you do? So you show up,
Yeah,
brand
showed up,
new
brand
new.
spanking new.
special operations officer.
Yep, the device isn't even out yet. It's not. We knew it was coming.
So you didn't get it when you graduated ITC?
No, it was my junior class, which my buddy, again, who'd been following me this whole time, he was in my junior class because he came right after me. He was the graduating class that got the device.
Oh, nice.
Because we remember seeing there was like 4 different
Yeah, I
images, and we
remember.
were like,
Yeah.
man, the one that they were really pulling for was like, man, this thing is ugly.
Yep.
It looked like a beetle. I
Yeah.
was like, this looks terrible. And then of course we got the stripper chicken. But yeah, so his class was the graduating class that got it. But I showed up. I knew I was going to Charlie Company. Charlie Company was still deployed. They were on the tail end of their deployment. They're like, hey, you're just going to go up to the 3, and we're just going to send you to schools.
Heck yeah.
So went to Airborne at Benning. So did the entire program with them.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it sucks.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
4 a.m. on the cables, baby.
You know what though? As an officer, it's again sometimes when they say with rank comes privilege, that is sometimes very true. Because I stayed in the hotel, not in the
No
squad
way.
bay. Yeah,
Oh, you're an asshole.
I had so much more liberty and freedom. And
I was a sergeant going through Airborne.
yeah, and you're staying next to
I'm
you're staying next to the
standing-
private.
Yep. I'm standing
Army.
on the cables, and they hated me because I was like, this is so stupid. And some private's like, I've been waiting my whole life to go to Airborne. I'm like, this is the
This is
culmination of your, this is the school. This is the culmination of your entire life right here, bud. Like, I feel like you need to get some bigger dreams
Oh, but
because
it
this
is,
shit
man.
sucks.
But it is. Yeah. Now you know what they do generally treat the Marines a little bit differently though, because
They're harder.
They harder, but with more respect.
Yeah,
generally.
yeah, sure.
With
But
more respect.
man, I don't
They
know.
push
maybe,
you.
Maybe it was our crew. We caused a lot.
Oh yeah.
We caused a lot of problems.
Sometimes those black hats, they're not. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, you're a Marine. Okay, we're gonna get you to quit. Like, first off, we know you're not.
Right.
That's not going to happen.
You know what was cool about my airborne experience is my grandfather was drafted in the Korean War, and he was with the 82nd and 101st.
Wow.
2 tours in Vietnam, tour in Korea. Ended up doing 22 years, got out as a sergeant first class. I went to the same company that he went to his airborne.
Really,
In like
dude, that's cool.
61 or something.
Dude, that's legacy right there. That's the kind of thing that people want. Like that's the romanticized
Yeah.
military right there.
Right.
That you
Like
just got.
and I was laughing with one of the black hats. It's like, I'm pretty sure these racks and these mattresses have been here since he laid on him. I'm like, nothing's changed. He's like, yeah, we don't change this course very much.
No,
Yeah.
that is not the.
So it was cool. I
romanticized.
got to go through the exact same as a Marine. He was in the Army, obviously, but as a Marine, I got to go through the same company and same building, same everything.
Dude, that's
that he,
awesome.
that he went through.
That is cool. That's something.
So that
to
made
be
it
proud
worth it.
of. Yeah, 100%.
The rest of the 3 weeks was just
Yeah. It's like, yeah, okay, I'll do what you say just because I want this to be over with.
Right.
Please.
right.
Yeah. So yeah, I did that, and then I was going to the dive team, so I went to dive.
Nice.
Dive school.
my
was
hometown.
Absolutely awesome.
Hometown of Panama City, Florida.
Dude, it's great.
Yeah.
I was in winter class, so we were expecting it to be absolutely
that
miserable.
sucks.
Oh, but it didn't. So when we got there, the first 3 days we go on the pool deck, and the first thing we hear the first time we go to the pool deck, first thing we hear is, be careful where you walk. There's ice on the pool deck. We're like, this is going to be a long 2 months.
Yeah.
Right? But after those 3 days, they had a massive warm snap. It was great.
What month was this?
January.
That's crazy.
It was crazy. It almost got to the point where the air and water temp allowed us to not wear rubber.
Wow.
It got so close, and I hated wearing rubber. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't. Like I'm constantly ripping it down, getting water in there because I was so hot.
Yeah, of course.
Just going hypercapnic.
Yeah.
Straight miserable.
Yep.
But yeah, it was. They told us like this is one of the warmest winter classes we've ever had. Huge blessing. Thanks, big guy. Appreciate it. Because I was not looking forward to like breaking ice off of my wetsuit.
No, in Panama City, that's what I try to. I explained to Allie. I said Panama City, their winter is a lot like here.
Yeah.
It's a January and February.
It is not the Florida people think of.
No, it's humid
Yep.
and miserable
Yep.
cold. It like gets into your bones.
Yep.
Wet cold.
100%.
The
Yeah,
wet cold.
It's just
Yeah.
wet and it's
Yeah.
horrible.
Yep. No, we got super lucky when we went through.
Such a fun course, huh?
It was a blast, man. You
Yeah.
don't realize it until you're going through it. Like, yeah, you're tired.
What
your
year did you
legs
go
are-
through dive school?
2016, 2017, maybe. I think it was maybe January 2017 for sure.
Trying to see who's down there. Was Torrin Jacobson there by any chance?
No,
No.
not
There
that I
now.
remember.
Yeah, he's back. He's back there now. He'll finish his career there.
It's definitely a place. It's not a bad place to finish your career.
No.
No, but that school is great. Yeah, it is a blast, and you
Yeah.
have a lot of freedom there too, as long as you don't mess it up. You have a lot of
You
independence.
just need to pay attention in the classroom
Yeah,
and then put out on the fence.
yeah. Which now apparently they changed it up. So now there's a lot of pre-tests that you do before you go down there.
Mm-hmm.
So they've cut. I don't know how many days
Talking
or
about
weeks. they
pre-test
cut.
or pre-dive?
No, pre-test.
Okay.
So you do a lot of your testing before you go there.
Did
so
you-
all that rote memorization.
Yeah.
Apparently it's a lot better. Not easier, but it is a better, and it's allowed them to shorten the course up.
You're ahead of it a little bit.
Right.
Did you go through pre-dive?
Yes. Twice.
I
Twice.
went through twice.
Yeah, and you probably know the guy. I don't think he's out yet, so I won't say his name, but you probably know the guy who put me through it. And man, he was.
We'll talk about it afterwards.
Yeah. But we knew. He told us up front. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna make this hurt." Like, okay.
Pre-dive is horrible.
It is horrible.
I would that's one thing that I'd be like, nah, I don't think I'm doing that again.
Yep.
I'm good.
Yep.
Nah.
Yep.
Bro, I wouldn't take a shower. I didn't want to get in the water for 2 weeks.
Yep.
I was like, nah, I'm not taking a shower.
And every single time I would get in the water, the first pre-dive he ran for us, every single time I got in the water, I would cramp. Every time. He was like, dude, I have no doubt. At the end, he's like, sir, I have no doubt that you can pass dive school, but you need to fix your legs.
So what-
I was like, yeah, you're right.
Whatever's going on here needs to be fixed.
So the second pre-dive, is still tough, but at that point I knew what to expect, so it was
Yeah.
a lot easier.
Well, I didn't go through pre-dive twice because I failed. I went through at second force. I lost because I got orders to Okie.
Mhm.
Instead of me, it was so stupid. This is a Marine Corps thing. I had a
course it
slot
is.
to dive school, but they found out I got orders to Okie from second force to Okie because they took like 5 or 6 sergeants back then
Okay.
as like assistant team leaders or team leaders to go over there. And the platoon sergeant was like, well, I'm not going to let you take this dive school seat from second force if you're going to Okie.
Okay.
So guess what happened when I got to Okie? I took my whole family and like moved to Okie, which is like the island of Lost to get there.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous to get to Okinawa, Japan in the military and to get your whole family over there and the whole thing. As soon as I showed up, checked in, guess what they did?
Go to dive school.
I had to freaking go to dive school. I left my fam. I'm in Panama City, my hometown,
Yeah.
and their hometown,
Yeah.
and they're in Okinawa.
What a joke.
I'm like,
It
why
doesn't
would you-
surprise
they're
me.
like, why would you waste all that money?
Yeah, right.
Like,
But nothing surprised me because
No.
that's just vindictive.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
oh, we have the seat. Why would we waste the seat on you? Well, who else do you have lined up and is ready?
yeah, like why not send me now? Wait, save the money, and
Yeah.
then I don't have to come back.
Right.
No, I had to come back. So then,
Such a
so when I went over there, I did it again.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I'll tell you, if you
Horrible.
pass pre-dive, though, you're good.
Yeah.
Like that screener's nothing, especially when you do it in a 15-foot pool.
right.
You know what I mean? Then you show up and it's like 9 feet in Panama. It's like,
Right.
yeah, all right. Yeah. Okay.
Hits was the best. For
Oh,
me.
hits was great.
This is my favorite thing ever.
It was, yeah, everyone's so terrified of it until
Nah.
you do the first one. Then it's like
Nah, it's fun.
The easy one. Then the hard one's nothing. You're like,
It's
dude, this
fun.
is awesome.
Yeah,
Can we
it's-
do this more?
Let's ride this roller coaster, baby.
Yep.
Come on.
Good
Yeah.
time.
All right. So what else did you give you? Sear, of course.
Oh yeah, well, Sear you get at ITC.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so
right.
that's part of ITC now. So you get Sear
my-
Level C qualified.
That is the number one course
yes,
out of everything
yes.
that I've ever done.
That sets the standard right there for ITC.
Yep.
It really does.
Beautiful. What else did you get?
Big school wise, that was really it. because by that time Charlie Company come back, and so we were rip roaring, ready to go, going right into the.
And you picked up
workout.
a team.
Mm-hmm. Yep, picked up team 2. I had a phenomenal gunny with me. I mean, you want to talk about being able to just completely step back and let a team work.
So before we start recording, I think it's the perfect time to bring it up, because I get asked this all the time about leadership and officers and teams and how's this all work. The Marine Corps, this is Nick's opinion. I'll let you kind of say your side of it. I feel like the Marine Corps teaches officers that they're automatically smarter, better than enlisted.
100%.
And so when a young officer gets to a team, let's say even a lieutenant, they immediately look at the platoon. And I'm talking ground side.
Yeah.
They immediately look at the platoon and go, I know what to do. I'm in charge. I'm the leader. And essentially you're a Lance Corporal with butter bars or silver bars.
Yeah, with better pay.
With better pay.
That's what you are.
Yeah. But like you were saying, you're
But
like
the Lance Corporal's been promoted.
yeah, the Lance
Right.
Corporal, you're right. But that's that platoon sergeant or that squad leader has exponentially more experience.
So much more. Especially a time when like you and I were coming up.
Yeah. Like
They had been multiple deployments.
multiple combat deployments. So now you get on the special operations side, you get an officer that comes into a team, and you have in my experience, you've had 2 types of officers. You have officers that come in, and as a true leader, they sit back and they listen and they watch and they trust the experience of their team's leadership.
Right.
Meaning the team chief, the ops chief, that sort of thing. Or you have the other one that's like been basically brainwashed by the Marine Corps and TBS that they are coming in and they're the team leader and they're in charge and they know everything.
Yep.
So, do you think that's an accurate statement?
Yeah, I think it is. I think there's a third in there as well, and I think that's the team commander who comes in and forgets that he is the team commander, and like he will fully just be one of the guys.
Yeah, you can't be that either.
There's that balance,
Yeah.
right? I think MARSOC does a decent job with. By that time, you're a little bit more senior. Now it's a little bit different because, we'll get an entire class at ITC where nobody's deployed except for maybe a MEU.
Yeah, I mean, it's not my time anymore. It's a completely different.
But that's what you'll see now,
Yeah.
Because going into peacetime, the deployments just aren't there.
Yeah, that's nobody's fault. Like that.
No, that's just.
It's not mean you're lesser of a man or you're like.
No,
it's
that just is the times. That is the times.
Yeah.
So MARSOC does a really good job of weeding those guys out who are just going to be completely bullheaded and just take over a team. And when you're going through ITC, your instructors will constantly. I mean, 99% of your instructors are all enlisted.
Yeah.
The officers are really just the heads of the SOTCs, right? So your interaction with them is, I don't want to say limited because you will interact. Like I interacted with my students quite a bit. I taught some classes. The officers get pulled aside to talk about officer-specific things. And for the most part, especially now, as MARSOC has evolved, it is very much, hey, your guys know what they're doing. You need to trust them, right? Now, you can't give up the responsibility. That responsibility still falls on your shoulders.
Yeah, for good or bad.
Right.
Right.
But you can delegate a lot. Like the authority and the responsibility is still yours, 100%. But you can delegate a lot of the actual roles to your guys, and you should.
Yeah.
So yeah, you'll still get guys who are bullheaded and they come in and they're like, oh yeah,
I call them the Captain Americas.
yeah, I was selected. I made it. Like, no, shut up, man. You haven't made it yet. You still got a long way to go. None of us make it. Like if guys who wear the badge are on us, you never make it, right? You earn it every day, right?
Yeah.
That's a true story. And then you got guys who come in, they sit back, they listen. I like to think I was more like that, especially with my team chief. Man, he was awesome. He knew exactly what he wanted out of the team. We had a lot of long discussions about it, and we just ran. We just took off and ran. We had a strong team. Even with some of the guys who, when we were horse trading, figure out with the new guys who we wanted, you know, there's always a few guys who are like, do we really want them? I was like, I'll take them. Like, I don't care. I was like, I have a great team chief. I've got some strong element leaders. Does not matter who you give me. They are going to
make them perform.
Yeah. This team's going to be fine.
Yeah.
So that team, we had a great workup. Dealt with, a couple of injuries and things like that during the workup, and nothing that permanently set me back, which was nice. But again, it didn't matter. Like I didn't have to be there because I had a great team chief. Like me being there the goal was always to add something,
right?
Not to diminish or block someone else. So if I wasn't there because, I had surgery and I need to sit back a little bit, I never worried that the team was going to underperform because I had a strong team chief. I had strong element leaders.
Do you think that's essential to a good team leader, is having a good team chief that you can rely on?
I don't know if I want to say it's essential. I think it's essential for any organization to perform well. They always say that you're only as strong as your weakest link. Your weakest link cannot be at the top.
Yeah.
It can't. If you have a weak team commander, the team's going to suffer. And you see that.
How important is that relationship between the team chief and the team leader?
That is the relationship that's going to matter the most inside the team. Now, the team commander, he needs to have a strong relationship with his XO and with his CO and above. I mean, that's the politics that comes into it, which I absolutely hated, and I've never been good at it. But inside the team, if the team chief and the team commander, you don't necessarily always need to see eye to eye, but you have to be a wall of support to each other.
Yeah. If
the team commander says, hey, this is a decision that I've made and this is what we're going with, the team chief has to be willing to do it. Now, the team commander, prior to that decision, has to have the wherewithal and has to have the humility to listen to the team chief's experience.
Yeah.
And him saying, hey, I understand what you want to do. I can meet your intent, but I think it's best if we do it this way. Here's why.
It's a good point, because like we were talking about earlier, is like you show up, yes, you did ITC, but that team chief's been in that unit and doing that job for quite some time.
Yeah, especially get that team chief spot.
Yeah,
and that is an earned spot.
And those element leaders the same.
Yep.
I mean, they've got typically, especially in my time, it was like those guys had multiple deployments under the belt, and then you get a brand new captain walk into your door, and he's like, "I'm in charge." I'm like,
again, especially now where that guy that team commander may have never deployed. Like I got lucky; I at least had deployed twice to Afghanistan. Like I knew where my place was. But now you're gonna. I don't know if you'll see more Captain Americas or not. I hope not.
We had quite a bit in my day.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My fitness reports reflected that.
Again, color me shocked.
Right. But there's a couple of handfuls, and I don't like to drop names on here, but there's a handful of guys that were just the kind of the guys you're talking about that were just like, you look at them like they should have books written about them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or they're vindictive and personal disagreements.
Oh, that's the other side.
Yeah, I have a couple of stories. Actually, I told Johnny one of my stories last night about that exact same thing. And, in letting personal differences dictate professionalism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think everybody sees that to a point, but if you let it make your decisions, that's, like one of my deepest regrets in the Marine Corps is letting that happen when I was a lieutenant. I still think about that to this day. It was a story I told Johnny, with everything that's going on there. I was like, hey, not necessarily a word of advice, just here's something I dealt with, and here's something I'm still dealing with. If you can learn from anything from me before I leave this place, like learn this mistake, this huge mistake that I regret. So, but yeah, team chief, team commander, absolutely.
So how much, so this is the same thing. A lot of kids want to become an officer, or their families want them to become an officer, and then they want to go to MARSOC, and they're like, but I want to do the job. In your opinion, and you can only speak to your experience.
Sure.
How many teams did you get?
Only got one.
Only got one team.
Yes.
And what happened after that? Where'd you go after that?
I went to Fort Benning, went to school for 6 months, and then went to the schoolhouse.
Okay. So typically, is that the norm? Or are
That
guys getting 2?
That was the norm.
That was the
There was a
norm.
huge pull from and these higher ups are still in, so I won't use their name just
Yeah,
because
of
they're
course.
still in. But there was a couple who were adamantly against guys getting a second team go. They're like, absolutely not. You need to move. You need to do something different. It's like,
So here's the frustration point from my standpoint. I
Yeah.
got out as a team ops chief my last deployment. The frustration point was having a new team leader come in. You know, at this point, I'd been on, I don't know, 7 different iterations of teams or deployments or whatever.
sure.
I'm almost right at my 12-year mark. So here we are, and you can call it bitching about a certain thing,
Sure.
right? Just we call it a gripe, a complaint. The whole team would complain. The team chief would be like, "This is a problem. We keep making these same mistakes. We keep doing these same things." But the team commander would come in, never experiencing that, and then go, "Hey guys, it's not that big of a deal." It's like,
Yeah.
no, it's not a big deal to you because it's your first time. But when you've done it 5 times in a row and it doesn't make any sense, you're going to be frustrated too.
Right.
But then if they don't get that rotation of
Right.
the time to experience that, and then when I saw a couple guys, team leaders, get a second team, all of a sudden they were like, "Hey, wait a minute,
Yeah. 9 day.
it's night and day." And I think that's and for my pain, that was the problem. This was before we had an 0370, so that happened right towards the end.
Yeah.
when
They
I
still
got
had that
out.
open loop.
Yeah, you're right. So, you know, and from a leadership standpoint, I was like, it's absolutely crucial that we create that MOS.
Yep.
Because otherwise we'll always be dealing with the same BS.
Yep.
You know, we have to get officers in here and let them feel the same suck that we do,
Absolutely.
because that's when policy is going to change.
Yep. Shared suffering.
Yeah.
Makes
Exactly.
A lot of difference.
So anyways, so now you only got 1. So I think that young men need to know that. Like if that's
now
your
things have started to change. Guys are getting 2, sometimes 3 team deployments. Some of those commanders.
But you're not going to be in a team for your career. Like that's not.
Oh, absolutely
That's not what
No,
you're.
no,
not
that's-
like an enlisted guy.
No, that's not what you do. You need to have realistic expectations of what you do. One, do not let anybody tell you that you're the one kicking in the door. Or you're the number 1 or 2 man into a room. You're not. That is not your role.
And you shouldn't be.
Absolutely.
And
not.
there are officers that try to do that.
Absolutely. Those are your Captain Americas.
Yes.
That is not your role.
That's not your job.
Right? Not that you are so important that if you went down, the team's not going to function. That is not it. It is that if you go down, all that weight and responsibility falls on your team chief, who already has a lot of weight and responsibility.
Yeah.
And now he has to delegate. That has to get delegated. It becomes a mess.
Yeah.
Right? You have a role. And it's not to say you're never pulling the trigger. God bless. I hope you do. If you're getting this organization, that's probably what you want to do.
Right.
I hope you do. But being the 1 or 2 man into a room when you're clearing a house is not it. Like, you have a role, you have a responsibility, and that is to get assets to your team. In the grand scheme of things, you are getting assets to your team.
So a young man that wants to do that, he wants to be the 1-2 man. He wants to be pulling triggers.
Yeah, if you want to do that, you need to enlist.
That's the job.
That's the job.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do. Now, your job as an officer is to lead.
Yeah.
And that is going to be that's not down and in. That is up and out.
Yeah.
You are bringing assets to your team to keep them alive, kill the bad guys.
Yep.
Command
and control. Yep.
So just understand it. And it's a blast. Don't let that, like, anybody who listens, like, oh man, that sounds absolutely shitty. No, it's
still
a great job.
It's still, I mean, you even on the enlisted side, you get a lot of that as you get promoted and as you become more senior in the team, you'll do a lot more of that. And it is.
Yeah, the element leaders do that.
Yeah.
Depending on your environment,
Yeah.
you're sending guys out to do element
we
size
had-
operations.
yeah,
and
we
that's
had
what they do. They turn into you.
Our team had, I think it was 314 man AOP with the 14 of us.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we're doing some command and control.
Yep.
You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? Yeah.
You just got to know your place and know your value.
That's what I tell people is like, it depends. Like when I talk to these guys through social media or, Q&A videos or whatever, lives, I'm like, you have to really analyze what it is that you want to do.
Yeah.
That's what I ask. Like, what do you want to do? Describe to me your day, your job.
Yep.
And then I go, you don't want to be an officer.
No. If I could go back in time, I would have enlisted.
Really?
Yep. Maybe I would have crossed back over the officer, but I would have enlisted. And knowing everything I know now and what I really wanted to do out of life.
Yeah.
I love my time. I loved what I did.
It'll pay dividends for
Yeah,
you.
it absolutely
Yeah.
will. But if I go back, I would have at least started
Yeah.
as an enlisted man. I would have come up that way.
The Mustang officers have a very different approach as well.
They really do.
Yeah.
That's something I think that right now MARSOC is missing because we're having more guys cross over, and we're trying to find a way for them to come back into MARSOC as a SU without having to do.
Well, I can tell you the fix right there is teams need more officers.
I was about to say the exact same thing.
I mean, I was
about to
talking.
say the exact same
I was
thing.
talking to General Lefebvre back about in 2008 about that. I was like, we need warrant officers on the team that operates like
100%.
ops intel officers.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I guess they're technically would be like assistant team leaders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's your continuity right there.
That's your long term, and then that warrant officer can guide the team leader through the whole thing.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. That continuity, you can't buy that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think they'll eventually do it, but they've got to figure out that's a Manning situation with the warrant officers.
It's and beyond that, there's a lot of red tape with the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Like, why would the Marine Corps allow these guys to become warrant officers, just turn around and give them back? Same thing with the officers. Like,
Yeah.
why would we let this senior staff sergeant or gunny cross over to be a lieutenant just to go back to MARSOC?
Yeah, they have to have someone's going to have to be involved that has the bigger picture in mind.
Yes.
And not like their 2-year term.
Right. Not their
in
2-year
mind.
team and not their pension.
Right. All right. So you're on the team.
Yep.
Which is badass.
It was phenomenal.
Team commander of an MSOT.
Yep.
That I mean
Didn't get better for me.
No, it doesn't get better than that.
No, absolutely not.
And then you get to go to one of my favorite places in the world, the Philippines.
The Philippines. Yes.
I mean, just
So hot. So humid.
you loved it though, didn't you?
I do. It was a good deployment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what were you guys doing? What I mean, the stuff that you can say anyway.
So we did split team ops. I was the furthest away from the flagpole.
That's nice.
I'll say so. I was on the island of Sulu with half my team, and
Who'd you put at the embassy?
I'll say his name later.
No,
He's
I mean,
good.
no,
He's
the
good.
position.
What do you mean?
Like, was it you put the ops chief or the team?
No,
chief.
No.
No,
None of us were at the embassy. None of
Oh,
my team. No.
none
The,
of your teams were.
the company had. We had a guy who
Oh,
a couple of
okay.
guys that sent him to, and that's what they did.
Okay, All
Right.
So you didn't have to pull a guy to your team to have
No.
okay,
No.
nice.
No, we were all on the islands. And at the time, before I got there, when I did my PDSS, there wasn't a lot going on my island, and I was not looking forward to it. I was like, man, this looks boring. This just like you're not doing anything. And it's not just people have to understand the Philippines. It's just this circle of where the bad guys go.
100%.
So
Yeah.
one day they're for a year they're up here on these islands, then
Yep.
they come down on the mainland, then they come down, they're here on the islands.
They're just in the jungles, like moving around. Yeah.
Right. And there was from a couple of previous deployments, there was a lot of broken bridges. A lot of bridges got burned down.
I'm aware.
Yeah. So we got there, and I was like, man, we got to repair some of these bridges. And you know what's funny? The thing that actually got us,
Not all our fault, by the way.
No, absolutely not.
There's some
No.
other individuals that
Yeah,
burn
100%.
some bridges. Yeah.
And from other branches too.
Yeah.
But we get there for the actual deployment, not the PDSS. We're there for the actual deployment, and I was there it was me and my JTAC. We went early. So we were the advent party. The rest of my team, the rest of the element who was with me arrives that day within hours. Mass casualty event.
Oh man.
Yeah, with the Phil Army. So we have 12 casualties coming to us to the hospital that was on the compound.
And your shark was there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I had an IDC with me. And one of the bridges that was burned was with the hospital. But I knew that it was coming. And I was like, let's go. Get all your kit. Get everything you need. We're going to the hospital. So the hospital's 2 blocks away, right? So we get in one of the Vics, load everything up, and me and almost my entire element, except for my comm guy and one other guy who was, they were comm watch, right? We're all down there. And we basically take over this mass casualty event. And my IDC is just crushing it. I mean, chest tubes, crikes, everything you can imagine.
Yeah.
That entire deployment, We dealt with over a dozen mass casualty events. We never lost a guy, no matter how badly he was hurt. We never lost a guy at that hospital. There was
Please
some.
tell me you wrote up the IDC.
Oh, dude. Yes.
Okay.
There's a story behind that and why he didn't get what he deserved.
Well, there's always, but at least you did your part.
No, he is phenomenal. Absolutely one of the best IDCs in the game. That man just, without him, we would not have been able to do half the things that we did. Without him, the team after us would not have. I mean, they exploded. The team after us, the freedom that they had to go out and operate.
Yeah.
Just the aperture was so wide compared to us. And I'm hands down, I attribute that to the IDC.
Awesome.
100%. But as soon as that was over, that first mass casualty event, again, night and day, right? Started forming really good relationships. It was still a slog.
Yeah.
But we started getting a little bit more assets down to our island. We started being able to do a lot more operations supporting especially the Phil Army, being able to support them, and we were doing a lot of artillery strikes. We started bringing in A-10s. We were able to start doing rocket and gun runs, did a couple of those during that 6 months. The other half of my team doing the exact same thing. So we were going, again, my team chief, who's just phenomenal. We were going tit for tat for who could stack up the most bodies, right? Like, I'm gonna get this at the end of the day. He won, by the way. He won. No, it was close margin, but I'm pretty sure if we look at the numbers, he won. Don't tell him I said that. But it was a great deployment. Trying to build relationships. The one thing I'll say, especially for those who are listening and who want to do this, for the officers, one of your main roles is talent management.
Yeah.
You need to be able to leverage all of your guys. Find out what they're good at. Find out who they're good at talking to and just push. Let them run. That was something I don't think I prioritized all that well in that deployment. In full transparency, I think I could have prioritized my guys a little bit better. Myself, my ops chief, my JTAC, and my IDC were really the ones that I focused the most on. And so I had, 4 guys who, really were probably underwhelmed on that deployment. And that was my fault.
Yeah.
I don't think I prioritized it well. I don't think I ran my sinks well enough.
But see, that goes back to what we were saying before. It's like you needed another run. And it would have been completely different.
Oh, hands down.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the things that I wish I could have done different, you would do on the second deployment. You know what I mean? And that's what guys are getting right now. So those who are listening, and it could change. By the time you get in, whoever's listening, MARSOC's 2030 plan is in full swing, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what that looks like for you. I hope to God you get more than 1 run.
Yeah.
I hope you get 3. As many as you can, stay on a team as long as you can, stay in a company as long as you can, even as an XO.
Yeah.
Then come back as a CO. But the one thing I'll say is don't forget where you came from. Too many get up there and they forgot what it was like at the team level,
right? What
it was like on the ground.
Yeah.
And they're just looking at that pension, man. That's not everybody. And don't take that the wrong way. There's some phenomenal guys up there, but a lot of them are getting out.
Yeah.
Most of them are getting out.
Yeah. And that's a hard place for a good team commander. It's a really hard place to be because you're loyal to your team. It's your family, but you have to answer to the XO and CO at the same time.
Right.
And sometimes
it's that weird balance.
It's a weird balance, man. Yep. And that takes a very special individual to be able to balance that, because there's a big butting heads between the two.
A lot of that too is your ability to portray what the company wants to your team, because you can go 2 routes really,
and vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You can either go to your team and say this is what the company wants, and you can just motherfuck them all day. Like, I hate this. This is the company, but then you create this massive wall.
Well, this massive division, and you create this toxic environment within a team, like a cancer, and it grows.
Absolutely.
And you can't have that on a team, on a small team.
Yep. Yeah. And I guess, and then you could go the other way, right? And that could be you are going to be 100% a solid wall with your leadership. And like, yep, this is a decision we all made. But you are seriously running the risk of the guys hating you forever.
Yeah.
Because they don't think you're standing up for them.
Right.
There is a line there where you muddy the waters between the two. When they say working in the gray, this is it.
Yeah.
You need to find that balance where you don't create an entire wall of division between you and the leadership, but you also don't create a wall between you and your team.
Yeah.
You have to find a balance, and it's going to be a give and a take. You're going to lose some of either side, right? If you're doing your job right, your leadership's going to be a little bit pissed at you at all times, but not so pissed at you that they're taking away, like they know you're doing your job right. Mm-hmm. They're just a little bit mad at the way you're doing it. And then your team is going to have that little bit of angst towards you, but not enough that they push you away. You're still a part of the team. You're still the leader. But there's that little bit of, we wish you would stand up for us a little bit more. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
You got to find that balance. If you try to have it one way, full bore, you're going to lose the other side.
Yeah.
It just is
one way or the other, you're going to lose.
Yep. It is what it is.
I think the real big task is getting your team to understand that you have to have that balance.
Yep.
And that you are there for them, but that you have two masters basically.
Yep.
Or actually third. You have the Marine Corps as well. So you have the Marine Corps,
flesh, man.
You have the Marine Corps, you've got your company, and then you've got your team.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a damn near impossible situation to be, but the ones that do it really well, and those are the ones that, and it's the difference between, and we talk about it a lot in the corporate world now, is the difference between management and leading. You know, people manage teams. Nobody wants to follow a guy who manages.
No.
They want to follow a guy who leads.
Yep.
You know, so yeah. So you come back from the Philippines, and then they pull you out of a team, and you have to go to school.
Yeah. No, some of this was my own doing, and I will say I fell on my own sword. I can't say, I don't think I would have gotten a second team go, but I probably would not have left first right away. But for you officers and for the enlisted, there's things called professional military education.
Oh God.
That you have to do, right?
Oh,
and I knew that I need to get mine done. So I had started EWS, Expeditionary Warfare School, but it was all online. And I am a terrible online student. Yeah. I hate it. Finding the time to do all the reading and the writing, and then it's just not the way I learn. It's not the way I succeed. So I was like, well, there's this thing called MCCC, the Maneuver Captain Career Course that the Army runs. It's only 6 months compared to EWS residency, which is a year, or non-residency, which can take you over 2 years. I was like, man, I can get this done in 6 months. So let's
just rip this Band-Aid off.
Yeah. So my vision was, I'm going to go do this for 6 months and come back, and maybe I'll be an XO, or, maybe they'll put me up in the 3 for a while, and then either I'll weasel my way back onto a team, or, something like that. I'm not going to.
Because initially, how long were you, when you joined the Marine Corps, or at least you got into MARSOC, how long did you want to stay in the Marine Corps?
Oh, I had always said from the beginning that I'm going to stay in this organization until they kick me out.
So you're doing 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was your plan.
At a minimum, I'll be here for 20, but if there's still things for me to do where I don't feel like
I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in. You've got me.
Yeah.
Right. I drank that Kool-Aid.
And you just got out at how many years?
I'm almost at 12. Yeah, I'll be 12 by the time I actually EAS.
Okay.
Yeah. Not the way I wanted to, but
we'll get into that.
Yeah.
So you went to school.
Yeah, so I fell on the sword. So I was banging down the door to get to MCCC. I mean, I was emailing everybody. I was like, get me in. Like, backdoor it. Sure enough, they backdoored me. Got in. I was great. It was a phenomenal school. Had some phenomenal friends. One of my instructors, at the time he was an Aussie major. Now he's a lieutenant colonel. He's back in Australia doing his job. Phenomenal individual. I learned so much from him, and we're still in contact at least weekly to this day. Obviously, there's time difference and there's a lot going on in the world. But I love him to death. Him and his family, love him to death. So I loved it. But then they told me, like, hey, you're going to go be an instructor at ITC. And I was like, all right, I guess.
Is that because you were just gone for 6 months?
I think it was that pound of flesh. I owed a payback to her because they pulled strings to get me into MCCC. They really did. I wasn't selected. That's a selected position. You have to apply Marine Corps selection.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, same as EWS residency. Most people do
You
non-residency.
had to pay the man.
I had to pay the man,
Okay.
and that was instructor. At the time, I was absolutely like, no, but they were like, hey, you're going to go to SOTC too. I was like, oh, sweet, that's great.
That's actually pretty dope.
Yeah, then they called me like, hey, you're going to SOTC 1.
Oh.
I was like, and I was like, that sounds like the worst job ever. Now, I will say there's no phase I would have rather have been in.
Really?
Dude, it was hardest working men on the planet.
Oh, for sure.
But man, it was great. I learned so much more. Like, you talk about learning the job of ground warfare.
Mm-hmm.
I walked away so much more knowledgeable, and I probably should have walked away with more. But they were phenomenal guys. Like,
Awesome.
and just being able to be around those individuals and the high quality, the true standard bearers, dude, that phase was great. Yeah. So I was there for two years. 2 years.
Is that where you finished?
Nope. They right before, so kind of same thing with career designation. I got passed over for major once. And at that time, my commanders were telling me, dude, you need to get out. Like, the odds of you getting selected, yeah, you might get it on you'll probably get on the second go, but you picking up lieutenant colonel and retiring, like, it's not going to happen. You've been passed over. I'm extremely stubborn when you tell me something like that. Like, it's not going to work out.
Whatever. I saw good friend of mine. He was my CO at ARS, and then he was my XO at 3rd Recon when we went to Iraq. Chris Medlin. I don't know
Oh,
if
yeah.
You know his name?
Yeah.
Bro, that guy, I think he was a major for as long as I was in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he wouldn't ever leave the reconnaissance or Raider community. He would never go back and do what the Marine Corps wanted him to do. He's like, no, I don't know how he did it, but he would. He just stayed in the community, man. He was such a hard ass too, man. He was a hard ass on officers. Bad. If officers could not perform like recon Marines, or if they didn't have the same, he didn't care. He didn't care if you were a Lago. If you were at a recon battalion or a recon unit as an officer and you couldn't perform to standard, bro,
standby.
Your life sucked.
Yeah.
Well, it sucked.
Good. Because, again, shared suffering, though. Man, I bet those guys, especially guys who were not.
I was scared of him because he was a CO ARS, and then he showed up I was like, dang it, man, because he was a hard ass.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is going to suck. And actually, it was awesome. It was awesome.
I'm saying those guys, those supply guys, those admin guys, all those officers who weren't actual reconnaissance, they probably felt as close to being reconnaissance as they could because of that.
Because he would have them like doing boat drills on the beach. All the officers, boat drills, like log runs, all kinds of stuff, and we're like, oh,
high boat carry all day.
Yeah, sucks to be a lieutenant at third recon. But no, he ended up he stayed the course. He finally got a command and ended up being at third Raider battalion. Yeah,
but yeah, that's what they were telling me though. They're like, hey, you have no chance. Like, you should really start looking to get out. And I mean, I did some of that, right? I'm not dumb.
Yeah,
like I was like, yeah, I'm gonna look at opportunities.
Yeah.
But I was also like, I'm not giving up. Like, this is what I want.
Yeah, it's my career.
Yeah, hell or high water. I said that I would stay until you kicked me out, and that's what I'm going to do. Obviously, I went back on my word. But at the time, that's how it was going to be. So second board came around. I'm now in the above zone. It's me and one other 0370 is in the above zone. I believe there's just two of us. Both of us got selected out of the above zone. So, was able to get selected in major, pin on major. So I did one more class at 4 ITC as a instructor as a major, and then I moved up to the head shed, went up to 400 to the G7, and I was the training officer. I was the training and education officer because we didn't have one. Yeah, and that's where I got out. So I didn't do that job long.
Okay,
but that's where I got out.
All in all, good MARSOC career.
Yes.
What would you have done different or more? Or would you like to have, other than staying in, obviously?
I would have sacrificed the easy way. What I saw is the easy way for PME. Mm-hmm. I would have done EWS in order to maybe get a second go as team commander, hands down.
Okay.
I would have stayed in the team.
But you were thinking like, I'm going to be here 30 years.
Yeah.
What's 6 months?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exactly right.
Yeah.
Then some of the other mistakes I had made, with how I manage the teams, things like that, I would have done differently. But overall, I had a great group of guys. I can't speak highly enough of them. Even the ones when when you're living in that tight of quarters, you always
Bump heads.
You bump heads. You have conflicts, and that happened.
I bumped head with my own friends.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like that happens. And so I may not have ended with some of those guys on the best of terms, but I would do anything for them. If they called me today and said, "Hey, I need you to do this," I would do it. Like I understand that we were frustrated with each other, and we may have said or done some things, but you all are still my brother. So
Yeah, of course.
absolutely would do it again.
I'm the same way. There's probably guys that hate me that I probably would give the shirt off my back.
Yep.
Just because they are who they are.
That's the nature.
Yeah.
That's the game.
So, dun dun dun.
Oh, did you want a sound for something then?
Yeah. I don't think that's the right
Oh,
one.
what are we
but-
talking about?
So, obviously the vaccine mandates. Yeah, that's the right sound. hit the military.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's hit special operations. I mean, you heard about the SEALs that
Yep.
that are all suing, and
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty up to date on all the lawsuits that are going on.
so you made the decision not to get vaccinated,
Yes.
and that was ultimately, long story short, is the reason why you resigned.
Yes.
And now you resigned of your own free will.
My own free will.
You're out.
Right.
I
am, to be honest, I'm probably one of the lucky ones.
Yeah. So can you, for a guy like you,
When were you planning to retire versus?
30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. 20 to 30 years.
Yeah.
I was not getting out.
Yeah.
You were going to drag me out by my teeth.
It's a fun job.
It's a fun job.
And then even if you did say 20, 30 years, you can have a whole other career afterwards.
Even when the job sucks, the guys,
Yeah.
the individuals who you're around make it worth it. That's really the job in a nutshell. The guys make it worth it.
So this stuff comes down and says, hey, you're now granted, we all got vaccines early on, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We all got a bunch of stuff, especially in my day. I got all kinds of stuff.
Yep.
Right?
There's all kinds of weird stuff running
All
through my
kinds
system.
Yeah. But this thing came out and something about it was not right, and you decided to say no. So what, I mean, you don't have to say what you don't want to say, but whatever you
I'm pretty willing to say dang near anything here.
So what was the reason why out of all the years and your goals and everything, you just say, no, I'm not going to do it, man.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah, there's a lot to unbox there.
Yeah.
So when this all first, when the vaccine was first coming out, when the mandates first started, so I was down in Key West, right? We were in phase. We had students, and they were like, hey, this is coming down. Like, you guys might have to stay there. Like, you need to find a way to run all of phase 1 in Key West.
What?
Dead serious. And we started planning. Like, all right, where can we patrol?
Right.
Like, where can we do Raider Spirit? Like, we're obviously not doing mortars. We're obviously not doing machine guns. Like, you guys are gonna have to send us a lot, and it's gonna be a
Have these
weird
people
abbreviated course.
have these people been to Key West?
No,
Okay.
but we had a way. We had a plan,
Okay.
right? Now, luckily, we were able to get back home. Right, everything was able to go well enough that we got the guys back and we finished out the phase. So when the initial vaccine was coming, I told my wife, I was like, hey, I might have to get this thing to stay in, and neither one of us wanted it, right? Like I was like,
But what about it at that initial point that you were like, something's off? Out of all the things that I've gotten,
the speed that it took, like all of a sudden this new virus comes out, nobody admits where it came from.
Right.
So immediately, if anybody knows anything, it's that all politicians are liars.
Yep.
Like, I don't trust any of you. Everything has to do with money. Big Pharma does not have your back.
Right.
So the speed that this vaccine started coming out, I was like, something's wrong.
It doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Well, and then this is right after we're all dealing with this like botched election. Like, if they're trying to figure out what the hell. So like literally, you're already on edge. Like, I don't trust anyone right now, and now you're telling me I have to do this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I had already got COVID, I never got tested because I was in phase. I was like, I can't, like, it's going to shut everything down. I was like, we can't do this. So we all took a risk, right? So I was also like, well, if I've already had it, I'm fine. But the speed at which everything was happening, I was like, this doesn't make sense. There's too much, there's money involved here.
Yeah.
I don't like this. And then you're looking at the vaccine and they're talking about what it is. I'm like, well, by definition, from the CDC, this isn't a vaccine. It doesn't provide me antibodies. Like, so what is it doing? If it's not doing what it's supposed to, why would I take it? And now people always throw back, like what you said, you had all kinds of vaccines when you came up. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I was 20 years old and I didn't care.
I didn't even know.
No.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you put? You're putting something cool. Does it allow me to go shoot people in the face? Yeah. Okay.
Put it in.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Don't care. As you get older, and that's what drives me crazy, because it's always upper level people who say this to you. It's never young guys.
Yeah.
It's always upper level who say the exact same thing. I was like, are you telling me that you're in 20 years in the Corps, you haven't matured at all, that you haven't changed your opinion on something, that you're still the same person you were when you were 18 years old? Pull my other leg.
Yeah.
Because that's bullshit.
Yeah.
And so, so I'm looking at all this. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. But, I'm talking to my wife. I'm like, I might have to get this to stay in. And she's like, don't do it. Don't do it. Do not do it. She's like, you do not understand what's in this. And so the more research we're doing, more research. I'm like, yeah, this doesn't make sense. So for the vaccine, just this, to me, people are, they always say follow the science. I'm like, okay, but I am, and it's leading me to this direction.
Right.
And science is flawed by nature, right? That's why it's a practice. Like, doctors practice whatever they're.
That's why it's experiments.
Right. Yeah. Like, it's a practice. It's not perfection.
Right.
So the science that I'm seeing, the science that the researchers are presenting, and anytime anyone's like, oh, you're doing your Google research, I'm like, how do you think anybody researches things nowadays? Are you telling me that everything you researched in high school and college, like, you just magically knew the answer? No, you went to the internet, you went to the encyclopedias, to the library, and you read, and you looked at differing opinions, and you formed your own, right? Which I understand schools don't do that anymore, but that's how I did it,
Right.
and that's how I did it here.
Right.
And my opinions were, I will not take this thing because it doesn't make sense, and because I don't believe it should be forced on people.
It's not the same as, a smallpox vaccine. It's not the same as
not even the same as a flu shot.
Penicillin. No. Right. Exactly. Right.
But I won't even take the flu shot. And again, the more research I did and realized that the lineage of all of the SARS-CoV line, now I know where it came from. I'm like, no,
I'm good.
Solid.
I haven't done it in years.
I'll take the sniffles.
I actually stopped my IDC and SARCs. They would be like, oh, it's time for your flu shot. They'd be like,
squirt down the wall. Yeah.
All right, you're good.
Trash can's right there.
You're good. Get out of here. Because we were all done. We were like, because like you said, as we got older, we were like, this made a little more, got a little smarter.
Yep.
And went from there. So obviously you played the tippy toe game for a while, right?
I did. I was very, very low key. I was always up front with what I wanted.
Yeah.
So I will say was there a way that I could have done exactly what you just said and gotten the shot and stayed in? Sure.
See, I was hearing that the way they were doing it is like, it wasn't even team guys. It wasn't company guys. Like,
there's
it was
ways.
Pretty controlled.
It is, but there's ways.
Yeah.
There are ways that you can do that. I had that opportunity.
Do you think there are a lot of guys? Do you think there's a lot more people than they're being said that's taking those opportunities? Like,
Absolutely.
sure, I'm getting the shot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, operate in the gray.
Yeah.
Be a little bit fire. Hey.
Well, that's encouraging, though, at least.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I think people
operators are always going to operate. That's just the way. That's the way it goes.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. If you get caught, you ain't soft.
Right.
That's how it is, man. Like, just don't get caught. So that opportunity came, and I talked to my wife about it, and she's like, well, that could allow you to stay. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I'm not going to do it.
Because there's a bigger thing here.
There's a bigger thing there.
Yeah.
My thing, at the end of the day, the vaccine is one thing, right?
Yeah.
People can agree or disagree. I don't care if you get the damn thing. And I understand that people have died of COVID, or at least have COVID more comorbidities. I understand that. The biggest thing for me was these mandates are wrong. This is not what I signed up for. I signed up to defend people's rights, and you are asking me to take those away beyond my own rights, which that's another thing. People are like, well, you signed up for the military, you gave away your rights. It's like, no, I didn't. I'm still a United States citizen. Are you kidding me? I still vote.
Right.
It's like I agreed to do things differently. I never signed away my rights.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're not in prison.
Right. You can't experiment on me. You know, like, there are a lot of things that I gave up.
Well, anybody listening to this, I mean, there's people that, you know, I have haters that listen to this thing too, and that's what they're going to say.
For sure.
They're like, well, you're in the military, so you should just do whatever you get told. You're a robot.
No.
Right.
No.
Like, that's a great point. Like, I'm an American citizen. I vote. I'm service of my country.
That's right.
Yeah.
If everybody in the military did exactly as they were told, there would be no initiative. Initiative would not exist.
Right.
More wars would fail.
Yeah.
More lives would be lost because individuals didn't say no. There are stories, go through any military history book. There are plenty of stories of guys who went against the grain because they knew it was right.
Is it MCDP 1?
Yeah.
It's in that.
Yeah.
It's in that. It says question your leader. You should question your leadership.
Absolutely. And that's what I chose to do. So the mandates, I believe, were 100% wrong. So I had decided, no, I'm not going to take the easy way out and either get a fake shot. I'm not going to get the shot, but I'm not going to hide it.
Yeah.
Now, I also wasn't going to be banging down the doors. I wasn't going to be screaming in people's face about it. I was going to make my stand. I was going to let people know that this is what I'm doing. This is the direction I'm going. You
weren't trying to get a mob together. This was Kyle Mann's.
This is my conviction.
My decision, right. My conviction.
I had chosen that my principles were more important than my pension.
Yeah.
So we made that final decision, and we started looking outside, and we started doing the research. And okay, how can we do this? You know, and stay in. That was really the goal. Was how do I do this and stay in?
Yeah.
But if it fails, what do we do when we get out? But I just couldn't stand by knowing who I am and the voice I have, and realizing that there's a lot of people younger than me who they're going to do what they're told because they're scared.
Yeah.
I cannot be one of them. I have to give somebody hope that it's okay to stand up. It's okay to sacrifice. Things are going to be okay. Like if you can look at it that way, and no matter how bad it gets, in the end, you have stood up on your own feet. You did what was right. Your integrity was worth more than your identity. And you just got to stay true to that.
Yeah.
Did you try to do the religious exemptions?
I did.
They just weren't accepting it?
That actually became a race against time.
Okay.
So at that time...
But as far as I'm aware from the other services, especially with the Navy SEALs, they're not approving them.
No. If there have been any RAs that have been approved, any religious accommodations or religious exemptions, it is extremely rare. I don't know anybody who's gotten it approved.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that's gotten them either.
I know that the Marine Corps is currently going through like 1,100 separations. Now, a lot of those are young Marines who are like, this is the easy way out. I don't want to be in the Corps anymore, so I'm just going to take especially with the MAR admins that came out there, like, hey, the lowest you can give them is a general under honorable conditions, as long as they're not doing anything else. Like if it's just a vaccine refusal, general under honorable. So you're walking away pretty scot-free.
Yeah.
So there's over 1,100 separations. For the most part are guys like that. Everybody else put in for that religious accommodation. I was one of them. I wrote my basically dissertation on why religiously I disagree with it, why morally I objected to this. I really tried to keep the science out of it. So I wrote that. That got denied. So then I started my first appeal process.
Now, the religious side, before you get to the appeal process,
Sure.
The religious side has to do with the way the vaccine was created via embryos, correct?
100%.
That's the religious stance.
So with how it was created with the embryos, with that, I do not believe that humans should be used as science experiments for this type of a thing. I also don't believe dogs should have their heads put into cages and have sand fleas or whatever bite them until they die. So I disagree with that experiment as well. But that was the basis of it.
Yeah.
Right. And really, it was morally, I morally object to the mandates. I morally object to you telling me I have to do this, because throughout history, it has never ended well.
No,
that's what I mean. That's not just the military guys, for any Americans.
Yeah.
Like throughout history, this has never ended well.
Right.
Like the Holocaust is asking, the Holocaust Museum is asking for proof of vaccination. Like, do you not see the irony here?
Oh man, it's crazy.
Like, what are we doing? Australia, like, what's going on there? So I'm seeing all this happen, and I just morally, I cannot abide.
Yeah.
So I put in for the accommodation because, again, I wanted to stay. I wanted to be a Marine.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a Raider. Like, this is what I did. I worked so hard for this. I don't want to give it up.
Yeah.
Not without a fight, at least.
Yeah.
So that got denied. At that point, I had decided, all right, this is not going to end well for me.
What a such a shitty, hard decision to make.
Yeah. Yeah, there are very few times that I've broken down because of this career.
Oh man. It's your heart, man. Like you're,
this is our adult lives.
Right.
Up to this point. This is all I knew.
Yeah.
I have defined myself by what I do.
Yeah.
By the tags on my blouse, by that badge. Like, I define myself by this.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden I'm saying I'm something different.
I'm not that anymore.
I'm not that anymore.
Yeah.
Not in the same capacity.
Right.
So at that time, I knew it wasn't ending well. I've got a really good buddy who would be phenomenal on your podcast, by the way, who has a much harder story than I do. I saw the way things were ending for people. I saw the direction that MARSOC and the Marine Corps was going, and the way they were not going to advocate for their people.
Right.
And that's when I decided I'm going to resign. Like, I'm done. Like, I'm not just going to be all talk and be angry and this is the way that we should be doing it. I'm going to drop my papers and say I'm done.
Yeah.
Maybe MARSOC, Marine Corps, you don't see this as a loss, but you're losing me, at least me. I know there's others, but I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to drop my papers.
Yeah.
The day I dropped my resignation papers, I came home and I was fine. Went and trained jiu-jitsu, came home. It was a late session. We rolled past time.
Yeah.
As we usually do. So came home, kids were already in bed. Wife had dinner ready for me, and I just sat down on the couch, and I just lost it.
Yeah.
I just completely broke. One of the few times in the last 12 years. You know what I mean?
I think people underestimate the amount of physical and mental energy it takes to not only get to that place in your life, but also stay there and perform at it in that capacity. Right. It is exhausting.
Yep. And
to essentially lose it, people can say, well, you didn't have to lose it, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Sure. Whatever, dude. You did, because it goes against the fiber of who you are.
100%.
So there really wasn't for me, there wouldn't have been a decision.
No.
These are the way the cards fell, and these are what I have to play, because that's the move.
Yep.
For me. And but I really don't think that people truly understand. I mean, not some people do. People like guys that have been. One of the analogies in my book is, when it comes to identity, is like you take a guy that's 5 years old, you put him in Pee Wee football, and he does that until he's like 21, and then he gets selected for the NFL, plays 2 years in the NFL, blows his knee out at 23, and he will never play football again.
Yeah, that is a hard transition.
That is a hard transition, and that's what I'm trying to explain to people. Like, this right here is the same as that. It's like, it is everything. The way you think, who your friends are, where you live, your lifestyle, everything revolves around that unit and what you do, and for that to be taken away in this way, it is horrible.
Yep.
It is gut-wrenching. So I understand.
Yeah, this all ties into everything we're saying with, you have to be able to stand up to the command when you need to, and you're always told as a leader you're supposed to lead from the front, right? I couldn't see any other option to lead from the front than standing up for that conviction.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of guys who disagree with the shot and they got it because they're a couple years from retirement. I get it, man.
Yeah.
I will never talk down
Nope.
on you for your decision.
Nope. That's your life.
As your life. And
Yeah.
if you made a conscious decision and you knew what you were doing.
But that's right there. That's where that's the choice, right?
Right.
It should be a choice.
Right.
Period.
And really, for the military guys, like, specifically for this virus, is the risk to force of me not getting this vaccine so great? Or is it just you're scared that because people are standing up for themselves and they know that this isn't right, that you feel like you're going to lose your power,
Right.
that you're losing your authority? Because I'm telling you, that is not how it's going to be viewed.
Right.
This is taking care of your men. This is taking care of your Marines. By allowing them, by making that educated decision that, hey, this isn't that big of a risk to force if they're not vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
They can continue their job as is.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it. Especially, I had COVID. I went and got an antibody test. My antibody tests were through the roof. I was like, so what are you risking here? And if all it is that you won't back down, well, then I don't really want to follow you anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a tough decision initially.
Family
then
backed you.
Family backed me 100%. I mean, my immediate family, right? Yeah. Ashley and the girls, even though my girls are 7 and 8, right?
Yeah.
So they don't understand the gravity, right? And both of them early on were like, we don't want you to not be a Marine. Because that's all that's what Daddy does.
It's their whole life.
That's their whole life, literally their whole life. The last 8 years, that's all Daddy does. So they didn't want me to give that up because they don't know, they don't see the big picture, right? They're kids. I don't want them to see the big picture. They're kids.
Right.
But they've all been very accepting of what's going on. Even when we didn't know what we were going to do after, we didn't, not that we didn't have a plan, but we didn't have things set in motion. There was no security.
This
net
is
there.
all, because we're part of the same gym and, same little mafia that we are. I've been following this for several months.
Yeah.
And it's all in the grand scheme of things, life change like this is very fast.
Very fast.
Yeah.
It's
That's a lot for a family,
scary fast.
especially for little girls.
Yeah. So we had no security net. We had nothing to fall back on.
Yeah.
But same thing when I asked Ashley if I should apply for MARSOC, she said, you have to do what's right. You have to follow this conscience.
Yeah.
And she's of the same mind as I am. Now, I do have family members who, they don't, I think they know why I got out, but I've never said it to them in so many words, and they definitely disagree with it. You know what I mean? But they're also my family. They will support me. Now, and again, that's like, no, my immediate family is now here. My my old nuclear family, they are still supportive. I definitely have relatives, cousins, and aunts and uncles who, if I talk to them, they probably disown me, and that's fine. I understand that.
It's still America.
Yep, still America. You don't have to talk to me. You don't have to talk to me on Facebook. It's okay. I'd rather you not. I'd rather it not go down that path, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But the people who matter, the people who will be there till the end, they supported me 100%.
Yeah.
Now, and I have to say, with support, my command, though they disagreed with me, my immediate, really the 2 lieutenant colonels who were above me, though they adamantly disagreed with what I was doing, they had my back. They said, we know what you're doing. We'd rather you take the shot. We wish you would take the shot, but they never pushed it.
Yeah.
because I told them, I was like, because they asked, they're like, can your mind be changed? I said, no.
This is it.
Yeah, I said, this is it. I will not cross this line.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tow it. I'm not going to come anywhere near it. I will not cross this line. And they're okay.
You weren't even going to fake it.
Nope. They knew what my intentions were. And I said, yep, I've resigned. I've given them 6 months. In 3 months, I'll be on terminal. I'm going to push. And they said, okay. And so I started the appeals process. And I knew, based off the orders, I was like, if I can get on terminal, if I can pick up my DD-214 before my appeals all come back denied and I have to go through now, like, a board of inquiry.
Yeah.
If I can make it there, I'm safe.
You're safe.
I'm safe. And that's inevitably that's what happened. And it was all, I think really it's just because the Marine Corps and, the Navy is so inundated with RAs that it's taken them so long to get through them. So I got lucky.
Yeah.
I got super lucky. But yeah, that was me getting out. Not the way I wanted. Went back on my word. And I would do it again.
Well, that's in the grand scheme of things, those are the cards that you were dealt.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Yeah.
I mean, and people can talk shit to this.
That's okay.
Till forever, but
it's okay.
But
small-minded people will say small-minded comments.
Right. Exactly. All right. So you're officially done.
Yeah. Picked up my DD-214 on January 1st. Or at least that's when I started terminal. So letting the beard grow, letting the hair come out.
Get the cowboy hat out.
That's right.
Dust it off.
It's the first time over I've been able to start dressing like I normally do.
Yeah.
Before the Corps and before I felt like I was just a boot walking around Jacksonville.
Do you feel like that even as an officer when you come down to Lejeune?
Oh, yeah, dude, 100%.
It's the same.
It's the exact same because you can pick them out.
Yeah.
You know what a young lieutenant looks like. Man, I don't want to look like you.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, now
see when you go up to Quantico, you see them all at TBS and everything. Yeah.
They go do the full officer thing too. They got the braided belt. See, this is something I never did. Like the braided belt with the
Where does that come from?
I'm telling you, they teach you that at TBS. Like, this is how an officer should dress. You should be in a button down or at least a collared shirt,
tucked in,
braided belt, and like boat shoes, like loafers.
Khaki shorts.
Yes. And I could never get behind it because I was like, no, I've never dressed like this. Like, why would I start now?
All my friends are gonna make fun of me.
Yeah. Like, no. Like, I've worn boots almost all my life. Like, it's gonna continue. So, but then MARSOC, and I was like, oh, my boots just changed. Now I just wear like hiking boots, which is fine. But now I'm back. I'm back to my normal combo boots.
You guys came up with a plan.
Yeah.
What's next for you guys?
So it was really a godsend. So I have family in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Love these people to death. Very like-minded. And for a while, my cousin who had started his own business called Self-Fill and Construct, he'd been wanting me to come on and work for him, and I had no intention. I was like, no, I'm doing my military thing. Like, this is what I want to do. I'm very happy where I am.
Core to the grave, baby.
I'm gonna keep doing this. And he called me right around the time I was about to make my decision to resign. And he's like, hey, listen, I'm trying to create a third business here. All in line with what I already do. But I need somebody to come in and help me with the first two business. I need a director of operations. And I don't know who to put into this position. I would like it to be you. And it was the same thing. I was like, man, that sounds really great. But I'm fighting this thing.
Yeah.
I can't tell you yes or no right now. I'm fighting this thing.
I'm still in the fight. Yeah.
A couple of days went by and I was just like, you know what? Yeah. Like, if you're willing to bring me down, if you're willing to hire me, I'm resigning and I will come. And so we went. One of my other cousins was getting married. And so we said, hey, we'll come down there the week prior and I'll just come that full week. I'll just work for you, just do like a mini internship. Just let me see what the business is about, see what the guys are about, and see if you really want me, if that's really right. Let's make a good decision. Let's not push into something. So we went down to Oklahoma, and I'm very excited. You know, we had that whole week. It was a hard week, long hours, and I talked to every single employee at the business, and I was like, yes, I see where you could use me. For me, not because we're family. I could see where you can use my talents as a Marine, as a special operations officer, to come in here and help you with these 2 operations. That way you can expand. Because if there's one thing I want to do, it's to help you aggressively expand. Like this business can go so far, and he has this big dream. It's like, I want to come help you meet that. I want to come help you meet that. At the same time, I want to start farming. And he was like, okay. So that's what we're doing. I accepted the position as director of operations at Cell, Fill, and Construct. We're looking at land, going to buy property, and we're going to start farming. And the goal is to retire and farm full time.
That's awesome.
That's what I want to do.
So how much property are you looking at?
Right now, we're looking small. We're looking around 50 acres with the intent to go big, start buying up the properties around us. My cousin has a large bit of property there, and he's also trying to make a large investment into about like 450 acres there. So we kind of just want to start this conglomeration of land. And
how did you get into, like, what's the draw to farming? Like, how did that just pop in your head and go, I'm gonna be a farmer?
I think a lot of it, growing up in the Midwest, I mean, in Abilene, there's a lot of dairy, a lot of wheat. There's some pig farms out there, and that's just kind of what I grew up around. My family is not rural people. Mm-hmm. They're very city people, but my friends were, and I would go out on their farms. I would help them, and I just always had a deep passion to do something outdoors, to work with my hands. I did not want to be administration. I didn't want to work.
You mean you
behind a desk?
You didn't want to be a logo?
Yeah, I didn't want to be a logo. Thanks, sir.
Yeah.
I just had this deep pull, and the more research we did, as my wife and I, as Ashley and the girls and I were coming up, we would purposely set ourselves out to be around those people. And we started small. We're like, hey, let's just do a little homestead. You know, so like, okay, you know, we grow some vegetables in the garden and things like that. And now, you know, the house that we just are now selling, you know, I decided, I was like, well, I'm going to build a chicken coop. Okay. Build a chicken coop, put 12 chickens in it. It's just in my backyard. I was like, all right, I'm going to get a couple goats. I didn't get the goats. That's because I ran out of time.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm going to get the goats. And then there's a farm right here in Holly Ridge.
Yep.
Changing Ways. And retired Marine, 53 pilot. Dave is awesome. Changing Ways Farm, if you guys want to get some fresh produce and fresh meat. Sorry for the plug. But I told him, I was like, hey, you know, I'm interested. Would you mind if I would come out and just, when I have time, just come and work for you? Like, I'm not asking for anything, no pay. Just teach me some things. You know, teach me the business side. Teach me really more the business side than the actual care of animals. Like that I've got a little bit more down. But I need to know how you started this. And so I showed up first day. He was like, hey, I need you to go put in these steel rebar. I just need you to put these in. Like, and he just showed me where he wanted. For 6 hours, I just drove in stakes. 6 hours. That's all I did.
Hey, you said you wanted to work.
That's all I asked for.
Yeah.
You know what? But he came back. He's like, oh, man, it was me and one other guy. He's like, I did not expect you to get this done today. I was like, yeah, we're done. What's next? And so for a few weeks, I would just go and I'd intern with him. You know, we'd process the chickens. He would teach me a little bit about the business. He would show me, you know, why he got the property he did, some of the obstacles he ran into there, with how his paddocks got set up. And we do a lot of research. You know, Joel Salatin, who's a huge name in farming, especially with regenerative agriculture. So we follow him. We read a lot of his books. And there's things I disagree with him on. There's a lot of things I agree with him on. And we realize that this is just the lifestyle we want.
Yeah.
You know, we want to do this. This is the personalities we have. And so then we just narrowed down, well, what kind of farm do we want?
Yeah.
And so we had settled that we want to do beef cattle and egg and meat chicken. We want to try to get into a niche market of farm to table. Mm-hmm. We might get some pigs, get a couple of dairy cows for us. And we're just going to run.
That's awesome, man.
It's going to run.
What a change of events, huh?
Yes. And I am very excited.
I'm gonna have to get you a copy of my book if you haven't read it already.
No, I'd love to.
Well, it's perfect timing. It's definitely perfect timing. It's all about transitioning from one chapter of life into another.
You have to actually sign it though.
I will. I'll give you a little
Describe it,
special message.
I appreciate that.
After I put me sweeping you on the internet.
Sorry, I bullied you at jujitsu,
Yeah.
and the internet took it down.
Yeah. We were making a joke. They were like, it wasn't automatic. Ashley saw that within 2 seconds and reported it.
That's right.
Yeah.
My wife was looking out for
She
me.
was like, nope, bullying.
She might be small, but she's a firecracker.
Bullying.
I don't like it.
I don't like it. Bullying.
Yeah, somebody commented on it. I was like, yeah, if put a video of you sweeping me up, I'd be mad too.
What was worse is somebody said, yeah, it's probably because there was like somebody messing with that girl in the pink gi in the back.
Which was Fred.
Fred.
It was Fred.
And nobody's messing with Fred. Trust me. That dude's an anaconda.
Oh, dude, his ability to like find the subtle movements
Dude, you think that I'm safe. I'm good until you're not.
until you're not.
But it's like, but then once you're not, it's too late.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're sucked in.
He's like a sloth.
Yep.
I'm like, what are you doing, Fred?
Little
Little things, man.
things. The things
Yeah.
that like big guys like us like take for granted.
Yeah.
Like I can muscle my way through this. He's like, I'm going to staple your knee to the mat.
That's why I
You're
call
not
him.
going to know how I do it.
He's like an anaconda.
feel
man.
it.
Dude, he is.
Or feel it, yeah.
It's just going to happen. I'm going to
Slow
take your
squeeze.
back. And he
Yeah.
always starts like, he doesn't even just start from the guard. Like he's like laying down, just
Yeah.
inviting you in.
Yeah.
You're like, I know this is a trap and I'm going to fall right into it.
I did lock up his legs one time with my legs, and he didn't like that so much. Yeah, he was pretty upset. But hey, man, I got to use these things for something.
That's
You know what I'm saying?
No, it's
I'm
good.
talking about.
So last thing,
Sure.
and the most important thing. What's your favorite part of being a dad?
Oh man. You know, it's a hard question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so many good things. There's so many things that frustrate you. And what's funny is probably my favorite thing is also something that frustrates me
Mm-hmm.
to no end. And it's watching them start to become a little independent, right?
Yeah.
And start to get that little attitude. Like they're coming into themselves.
Yeah.
My youngest is exactly like me. And it makes me so mad.
Yeah.
Exactly like me.
But you can't be mad at the
But
same
I
time.
can't be mad because it's also cute.
Yeah.
But I'll be so frustrated, and then I'll look back and be like, man, that's exactly what I would have done.
Yeah.
But to see that and to see them grow and mature into who they are right now, but also still have all that youth, that vibrance
Mm-hmm.
that kids have, makes me very proud. It's those things. And
That's what actually I think it's one of the ones that I said too.
Mhm.
It was just watching them become them,
yes,
or leading them to
Sure.
some extent.
you have to.
But at the end of the day, it's watching them turn into who they are
Yeah,
is the most wild thing to witness.
it's the little things. Like,
Yeah.
you know, my girls still come in the morning. They still give me a big old hug.
Yeah.
You know, they still tell me how much they love me. Nora decided one day, because she's seen me do it enough times, that she was just going to make coffee that morning. You know, we don't have Keurig. It's a pot of coffee.
Yeah.
It was good coffee, but she made it. She brought me a cup in bed. Literally woke me up. I was a little bit mad. I was like,
But you
Again,
brought me coffee.
But you brought me coffee. And that's kind of become her thing. So she doesn't do it every day because sometimes, I'll
You're
wake
wet,
up before
yeah.
her. But if she is downstairs and I'm not out yet of my
Yeah.
room, she'll make the coffee. It's the little things like that. It's like, I must be doing something right because you're looking after someone else
Yeah.
first. You don't have to. You're 7.
Right.
But you know that it brings joy to somebody. You know that it helps the family, and you're willing to do that on your own.
Then you're giving. It's a giving.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's things like that, man. Wouldn't trade it for the world. And that's again why I'm okay with getting out, because I know I'm gonna have more time like that.
Yeah.
Now I can really show them, hey, these are the things that Daddy's good at. I've the last 2 days I've brought each of my kids independently to the gym to
Yeah.
the Agoge to just give Ashley a little break from them. But I'm like, hey, if you do a little bit of schoolwork, you can come do an exercise with me. And they're excited about it. Because one, I get to share something that I love with them. Two, it's like you get to see it's okay to be strong.
Yeah.
In a world that tells you it's not,
Yeah.
it's okay to be strong. It's okay to be fit. It's okay to push yourself to the point of breaking.
Yeah, and you do that with all because they're in jiu-jitsu.
That's right.
They do actually really well.
Yeah,
Those
they
girls-
do when they get the fire in them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those girls are killers, man.
yeah. They're
Yours
little
and
demons.
David's little girls.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Little ninjas, man.
Dude, it's a blast watching them.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. If I had to say, if I'm gonna miss anything besides the guys, right, of the
Yeah.
job, but this area specifically, it's gonna be the gym and specifically coaching those kids.
Yeah.
I love doing jujitsu. It is a phenomenal way to compete without feeling pressured. It's a great group of men and women that I get to train with. You push yourself in a new way. But if I'm out of that gym, out of this whole area, all of Hampstead, Holly Ridge, Surf City, everything, if I missed one thing, it's gonna be coaching those kids. Because that is a blast. Watching them come.
I'll
down
be
around.
surprised. You're probably gonna build. You're probably gonna build a little crew out there.
I have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to.
Yeah.
Where I'm going, there's
Nothing.
I'm gonna corner that market. I keep trying to convince people like, hey, you wanna move to Oklahoma? Why would I do that? Oh, you could start a gym. Like, I
Well,
don't
if you
wanna-
get your
I don't
farm
wanna-
up there, I might have to drive up or
I-
drive over there and
I'm telling you, we
see that.
we
man.
got big plans for that land. We're gonna put some like tiny homes, tiny cabins on it and stuff for
That's
people to
awesome.
come stay at.
The
By all
biggest thing
means.
is like I want to experience. I want to expose. Now that I hit the reset button, I'm doing the whole family thing all over again.
Yeah.
I want him to, and we've talked about moving and doing some things like that because I want him to experience that.
Hey, I will
You know what I
saddle
mean?
him up
Yeah.
when he's a little. By the time he's of age, we'll have a good, strong operation going.
Yeah.
I'll saddle him up on a pony.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we got to go move some cattle.
That's a big thing to experience.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Or just go catch that chicken, man. Can you go catch that chicken for me? Why? Don't worry about it. Just go catch that chicken.
That's what he's gonna do. That's it. Well, hey, we're gonna give you obviously one of our sponsors for the podcast is none other than Johnny Slicks. Do you have any of this stuff yet?
I don't, but I have used the soap in the shower at the Agoge.
Oh
And I really enjoy it, especially how exfoliating the body wash is.
Got those walnut shells in there.
Is that what it
That's what
is?
it is.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So Johnny
Oh,
did that
yeah.
because he knew men were lazy and they aren't going to use a loofah or a
Scrubby.
washcloth.
We're so lazy.
He's like, guys, just going to put soap in their hand and wash themselves.
But that's why our skin looks so good.
Don't ever
So-
do it.
So that's why he put the chipped up walnut shells in there. So that
Man.
so all of this is going to be yours, man.
Dude, thank you guys so much.
So, but real quick, we've got to do.
I did give him some rugged. I did pull out two original things because I didn't know if he'd smelled that.
All right, so we're gonna have to. Oh, so this right here is the beard wash that we're going to relabel as the combat soap that I was telling you about
okay.
because
Nice.
it's antimicrobial and antibacterial.
That's right. Yeah.
Got a whole bunch of things in
It's
there.
really liquidy.
Ver-
So
it's
you-
very
So
liquidy.
I assume you use some of that on that cut on your neck.
Yeah, that you gave me.
I don't think it was me. I'm telling you.
I've been telling people I was like Allie and I got a little crazy in the
Oh,
bed and she did that.
and then I was like, it was jujitsu. And they're
She's
like, you
like-
did that at
she's like-
jujitsu? I'm like, I didn't do it at all.
Some guy.
It was revenge for the sweep. I'm like, I'm just gonna slice your neck open.
But yeah, I did. So anytime I do jiu-jitsu, I take this and I basically I wash up with this,
Okay.
and it tingles a little bit because you'll
Ears,
find
nose.
yeah, on the spots that are really getting exposed,
Yeah.
and cut, and
Yeah.
sliced open, peppermint, tea tree.
Oh yeah, those are
So,
all great.
Yeah, so
We're
get
big
some-
into essential oils. So
Yeah,
that's
Ashley
awesome.
will like the stuff I was
Oh,
just
yeah.
about to say.
But I want you to smell these two, and then give me your
Open egger.
yeah.
Be a man. Ooh.
How old are you?
I turned 34 today.
Yeah, this is his birthday podcast.
Happy birthday.
I don't have a birthday here. We'll do this.
That smells phenomenal.
As he said, it felt it's
Very
good.
enchanted.
It's good.
Well,
Smell
you
that
said
one.
it was the 12th podcast, and it's on the 12th of January.
Is it
It's
really?
also my birthday. Yeah, you said it was this is the 12th, right?
Yeah,
Today's the
that's true.
12th, January 12th.
Dope.
Yeah, that's good, man.
So out of the two smells of these two, which one do you got to pick? You have to pick one.
This one's a little bit more mild. This clay pomade. It's a little bit more
So it's just
mild.
the scent. They're different products, but the scents are what I'm going for. Let's see if he falls into the algorithm.
Right.
I think I like how mild this one is.
So you're gonna go with original over rugged?
Yeah, the original. Yeah.
You don't fit into the algorithm.
Of course I don't.
Well, then shoot, I need to go switch everything out because I got them all rugged.
So 30, typically 30 and under is original, and then the older you get, rugged. So over 30.
I think my wife might like this one more though.
See, now that's where babies are made.
Yeah.
You know, we have like 12 or 13 confirmed pregnancies due to the smells of, like, this stuff gets.
That's probably underestimated.
I'm sure, but
Yeah.
confirmed.
It's like all statistics.
Yeah, confirmed though.
I think my wife would like this one more.
Well, there you
Would
go.
like
You
the
have to figure it out.
For sure. I think she would like the rugged. Although she also doesn't like, she's also like anything that's like older. She's like, you're starting to smell like an old man. I'm like, I'm starting to become an old man.
So-
Remember, in
I
sickness
think
and
we have
health.
to
and
figure
So
it
we've
out.
got you beard wash. We've got you beard oil because now you're growing out that beard.
Oh, that's perfect too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you're actually going to be able to grow a Raider beard now
Yes.
that you're not a Raider anymore.
I can't let go too crazy. Like I still have to be somewhat professional.
Yeah.
But Ashley loves my beard, and she's always anytime I like grow it out for like 2 weeks on leave and I have to shave. She
Did you have a
super,
big
super
ass
tad.
mustache in
In the Philippines?
Yeah, big ass
It
Filipino
was. I called it
mustache.
my spite stash.
So you got shave soap, rugged conditioner, shampoo, body wash, and then 2 different hair pomades.
Thank you guys so much. I
Yeah.
appreciate that, and thank you so much for having me on here. This is
Well, thanks for
it's
spending
a
your
great
birthday with
experience.
us.
I'm
No, absolutely.
afraid for you because what's going to happen is now they're going to find your Instagram. All these kids are going to be hitting you up with about officer questions.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it might be somewhat difficult because it's not like I don't have like a standard Instagram. Like everything, all the photos on my Instagram are like photos of chickens.
the
You know what I mean?
Raider farms.
Yeah,
one?
yeah, Raider Ridge Farm. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we decided we were trying to figure out what we were going to name the farm, and we had come up with a bunch of different names. But we were looking at land in Tennessee. This is a while back,
Yeah.
and this property that I was looking at had this beautiful ridge. Like I had the topographical map on, it just almost a sheer cliff.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, it's Raider Ridge right there. Just set up a couple of benches and just look at the sunset. And she's like, that'd be a great name, Raider Ridge Family Farm.
And that's
I
what
was
you.
like, that's what I went with. And I can't put Family Farm on the handle for some reason because Instagram just won't let me. So it's just Raider Ridge Farm. But even though I'm not necessarily leaving on the best of terms.
I'd say you're leaving on great terms.
Well, I mean, not the way I wanted to.
Not
yeah.
the way you wanted to. Right.
But yeah, I was like the people I served with, and being a Raider still is so impactful to me.
Yeah, of course.
I was like, I can't just dismiss the legacy.
Oh man, it's part of your. It's a part of your life.
Yeah. So we're excited for that.
Regardless of how it all fleshes out, it doesn't matter, man.
No,
It doesn't matter. It's
You
all
guys
part of
stood
it.
it up.
Yeah.
but the beard's coming.
So, well, good for you, man. Good for you and your boots and your chickens. It was just funny. You have to drive the chickens pretty much overnight to get them there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We might make one stop. It's gonna be interesting. Chickens are resilient. People think that they're weak. Chickens used to be dinosaurs, man. Like they're super resilient. They'll be all right.
Well, thanks for coming on, guys. And hey, you know the deal. A lot of people need this information from everything from joining, from dealing with leadership issues, to I hate to say it, but the vaccine stuff too.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking for something. So please share this with your friends. Screenshot this if you enjoyed this podcast. Screenshot this, share it on social media so other people see it. Tag us, we'll share it, and we will see you guys on the next episode.
We'll be right back.